Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, I hope everyone could hear me. Um, Welcome to the channel, these Muslim apologists, brothers and sisters in Islam. I am your host, MENJ. Okay, so before I go into the topic of this, or the reason why I decided to do this live stream, which is basically the post debate analysis of my debate with this atheist TJump, or his actual name Tom Jump. Okay, before I go into that, I would like to make a few announcements. Right, basically, why did I decide to debate an atheist? Because I think I'm pretty sure most of you who have subscribed to this channel and have followed me for a while would know that my specialism is in basically in Judeo-Christianity and Islamic apologetics. So why atheism, right? The reason is simple. Is because I actually am in the planning or am developing a separate channel, which is also called the Muslim Apologist, but with the tagline on irreligion. So this channel is specifically meant to answer claims by ex-Muslims, okay, or those who claim to be ex-Muslims. Yeah, the usual names, people like apostate prophet, Apis, Apus, or Epas. I don't know how you're going to pronounce that. Just call him Apis. People like Haris Sultan, Snail Tan, yeah, or Haris Shaitan, okay. Yeah, Infidel Noodle, Zara K, the cheesecake, basically any the apostate Aladdin or whatever he wants to call himself. I don't remember. Was it Infidel Aladdin or apostate Aladdin? I don't remember. But yeah, this type of people, that is what I intend to deal with that separate channel, because I don't want to mix those crowd or those content, the type of content that I will be making against these people, with the content of this channel, which is supposed to be focused on Christianity and maybe Judaism, right? So that is why today this particular live stream is also broadcast on the other channel. Okay, I'm not going to reveal the URL to this channel at this time, because it's not ready. Okay, there is barely any content except for this live stream. Okay, so I just want to let it chill, and eventually when the time is right, I will review that channel. Yeah. So basically, this, you could say, is an official announcement of me joining the war. Okay, figuratively speaking, right? Joining the war against the apostates. Okay, because I know brothers like Detective O'Will, um, I think brothers like Halal Homer, um, who else? Maybe Anon Mouse. I don't know. These people have been in the forefront against specifically this type of people, right? So I want to join the battle too. That's why I'm the Muslim apologist. Okay, what why would I want to call myself the Muslim apologist if I'm not going against this type of people? Okay, against the ex-Muslims. So having said that, the ideology of ex-Muslims, basically we can sum it up as atheism, right? So because this debate just so happens, when I emailed James, the moderator, or basically the channel owner for the modern day debate, asking him whether I could be involved on his platform, he decided to pair me with an atheist. So at the time, I didn't know it was going to be TJump. Okay, so because the topic was Islam versus atheism, I immediately jumped on the idea. Okay, so that is why I decided, yeah, why not? I mean, this could be a great way to announce my channel, the one on atheism, the one against murtads, against the ex-Muslims, okay, to the world. Okay, so that is why, even though admittably even though I have experience in debates, I am actually woefully unequipped or ill-equipped to deal with atheism per se. I mean, I only realized that now after going through the debate. Okay, I will go into detail why that is so. Okay, basically, is this okay? With regards to atheism, my position on atheism is like this. I don't find atheism appealing at all because from a very young age, I've always believed that the world cannot create by itself. Okay, and I believe that life has a purpose. Okay, so we don't just simply come out of the air, out of nothing. Okay, nothing cannot produce something. That's just simple logic. We don't have to go into the science. We don't really have to go into philosophy. We don't even have to go into any of the related ideologies or whatsoever. I mean, it's just simple logic. Something cannot be born out of nothing. Okay, that's the logic. Okay, I mean, I think everyone can agree with me on this. You can't produce something out of nothing. Okay, I mean, sorry, you can't produce nothing out of something. Okay, you understand? If you get what I mean, all right? So yeah, that being said, of course, yeah, I mean, um the thing is, because I was arguing, I have always been debating Christians for most of my apologetics career. So when I deal with atheists, I usually just dismiss them aside. I don't view them seriously. I consider atheists, or basically not atheists but atheism, the ideology of atheism in general, to be a joke. Okay, for me, the atheism is totally irrational and without any basis whatsoever. So I've always been a theist, and I've never actually considered atheism to be a viable ideology. And I would say for the most part of my life, this actually, in dealing with apologetics, when I go online, I notice that the crowd are mostly Christians or someone who has a religion, not atheists. Atheists in apologetics only come or become active quite recently in my apologetics career. I would say around 2010, 2011. That was when atheism started becoming more appealing to people, partly because of the four horsemen, right? Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett, Richard Dawkins, and one more. I don't remember the fourth horseman. Okay, the four horsemen of atheism. Okay, so because of these four people, especially Christopher Hitchens, the militant atheism or neo atheism became more appealing to the crowd, right? So this happened around circa 2000. They started coming to the fore in 2007, 2008. So it started to catch on in 2010, 2011. That was when atheism started becoming appealing. And unfortunately, some Muslims who were secularized, because they hate Islam for some reason, they blame Islam for their problems, or something of the sort. So they decided to leave Islam and they become atheists. Okay, it's one interesting thing about these ex-Muslims. Most of them become atheists. They don't become Christians. They don't become Buddhists. They don't become Hindus. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't any Muslims who apostate or murtad to become Hindus or Christians or whatsoever. But a majority, quite a number of them actually become atheists because they find atheism to be more logical. And I don't deny that the appeal of atheism is there. It is there. Especially if you look at it from the worldview of people in the likes of Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens, right, the militant atheists. So anyway, long story short, yeah, I only decided to come to the into play. I decided to get myself involved in this because of recent events involving the murtads. Yeah, so people like Apostate Prophet, like uh, Haris Shaitan, yeah, Abdul Samir too. Yeah, these are the people that I aim to, inshallah, go against. Okay, but in order to go against them, okay, my method has always been in order to go against these enemies of Islam, okay, you need to deconstruct their ideology first. You need to confront them with their ideology. I mean, they can say yada 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 all they want about Islam, but in the end, what alternative do they offer? I mean, apart from Islam. So if you are saying that Islam is false and that Islam is not true, that Allah does not exist, that Muhammad is a false prophet, then what alternative can you offer? And is your alternative better than Islam, right? So these people are offering nihilism, okay, are offering the nihilism in or the hedonism in atheism, or the worship of the self in Islam, your ego, basically. So for me, atheism is basically the worship of the ego or selfism. Okay, uh, atheism does not have any solid philosophy. Okay, it does not have morality. It derives its philosophy from uh, worship of the self. Okay, basically what you can do, you do. Okay, that's basically my position, okay, with regards to atheism. Okay, so of course, because I'm quite new to this world of refuting or deconstructing the ideology of atheism. So I came in. I can't say I wasn't unprepared. I was actually quite prepared. It's just that some of the things he proposed, it's not that I couldn't answer. It's just that, maybe I was nervous because I was thinking that the debate will be at a higher level, because if it's going, it was if it were involved, if to be honest, if TJump had brought in a bit more philosophy into it, I would be dumbstruck, because I'm really a sucker at philosophy, to be honest. But fortunately for me, he didn't do that. But unfortunately, or fortunately for him, I think I was a bit nervous, yeah. And at times I was even unsure whether I relate my arguments properly. So you will see this in the review of this debate. Overall, I would say I didn't do badly. I don't think I did badly. I think my arguments are sound, to be honest. It's just that maybe because of the nervousness of having to face an atheist for the first time in a debate, in an online debate. Please do note that I have been involved in online debates before. It's just that this is my first time debating an atheist. Okay. So when I had to face T-Jump, I was a bit nervous, I guess. So yeah, and there were times when I didn't articulate my points correctly, and when I review the debate again, I have some regrets that I did not do, what I thought I should have done. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I think that is all my intro. Okay, this is a very long intro, right? So I think I'm going to begin shortly. There's 4 people right now. Thank you very much for joining the stream. I'm going to start the uh, basically I'm going to start the intro, and then we can begin the debate analysis or the post-debate analysis between me and the atheist TJump. See you after the intro. So we are back again, and yeah. Before I continue with with playing the video, I want to address some of the comments here. I see that there are a lot of people who have started commenting. Walaikum salam, brother Kamal. Yeah. Walaikum salam, brother Oliver. Glad to see you here. I think it's quite late in New Zealand, right? Or is it very early in the morning? Yeah. There are secular colonialism. There are only arguments for against obeying the laws of God. I agree with you. I agree with you, sister. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. By the way, thank you for coming to this live stream. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, oh, by the way, I think for those of you who have added this live stream to your schedule, I would like to apologize that in advance for delaying the time of the broadcast. I know I was supposed to broadcast it like last week, but then a brother told me that he wanted to join today. Okay, actually early today, so I changed the time to today. But unfortunately, during that time when I was supposed to broadcast it, I kind of fell asleep. It was around 6 p.m. Malaysian time. Okay, so the broadcast was supposed to start at 6 p.m., but I fell asleep at around 5:30, I guess, and I only woke up around 7. That was before Maghrib. Okay, so I decided to change the live stream to now, which is right now is 12:43 a.m. Okay, 12:43 a.m. in the morning, Malaysian time. Okay, the next day, which is Tuesday. Okay, sorry, Wednesday. So it was supposed to be streamed yesterday, which was at 6 p.m. Malaysian time, Tuesday. So today is Wednesday, 12:43 a.m. Malaysian time. Okay. Okay, let me see. There's this brother here. Walaikum salam. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Brother or sister, I'm not really sure. Thank you anyway, regardless, for joining me all the way from Canada. Yeah, so I assume that in Canada it's I guess it's in the morning, yeah, or probably in the afternoon. I'm not sure. But here it's very early in the morning. It's 12:44 a.m. Right. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm actually supposed to go to sleep now because I have work tomorrow. But I decided to go ahead with the live stream anyway because I have been postponing this live stream 2 or 3 times. So I don't think I should by all in my conscience I shouldn't be like postponing this stream any longer. Okay, so anyway, let's go to the show, the main point of the show, which is to deal with yeah, let me share the screen. Okay, so yeah, I hope everyone can see my screen. Yeah, this guy, yeah, this James. Okay, so let me play. So I think I should begin, right? So I'm going to play the video and comment as I go along. Okay.
Today, we're debating atheism versus Islam, and we're starting right now with Muslim apologist opening statement. Thanks so much for being with us. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, James. Thank you also to my opponent, TJump. So I have prepared several points here regarding basically what I believe atheism has problem with from an Islamic viewpoint, basically. Well, I could have listed a lot of points, but since we only have 10 minutes for an opening statement, so I've kept it to 5 major points, which I think is crucial. And for me as a Muslim, I find very, very, how would I say, difficult to accept atheism as a valid philosophy for life, right? So basically, what I understand about atheism is that it is the belief in the non-existence of God. Now, why do I say belief? Because I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of atheists who would reject that. They will say, no, we don't have a belief. We don't believe in a theistic religion, or we don't believe in God. But that's exactly the point, because atheists don't have any evidence that God does not exist. So basically, they believe that God doesn't exist. So in a way, in a very oxymoronic and ionic way, atheism is actually a religion in itself, because it's basically a religion or a belief system that does not believe in God, that rejects God's existence. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to explain my position a bit because I think I'm not sure why I wasn't very clear on this point. In fact, after the debate, I think some of the crowd from modern day debate who watched the debate between me and TJump, they actually came to my channel and they left nasty comments saying that, oh, you don't understand atheism. You say that we believe in a religion. We don't believe in a religion. Atheism is the lack of belief in a religion. Okay. Yes, I understand that. I know that you don't believe in a religion. Okay. And you claim that no religion in the world is valid. And you think from a scientific principle or from science, mostly basically it's from science. You believe that or you claim that science doesn't logically or conclusively prove that there is a supreme being, or that is an intelligent being, or that there's intelligent design that make up that created the world. Okay, so because of this you have a lack of belief in theism, and therefore you are an atheist. Okay, but that was exactly what I meant when I say that atheism is a religion, because yeah, you can claim that science does not say that there is a divine being, but how do you believe it? How do you come to such a conclusion? Were you the ones who did the experiment? Were you the ones who saw uh, the experiment being done and were involved in the process to come to that conclusion? No, you don't. You see, you're not involved in those so-called experiments. Okay, you only listen to those scientists who come or who came to that conclusion after they themselves have done those experiments. Okay, and not all these scientists are actually atheists. You see, that's the thing. In fact, like for example, let's say evolution. Okay, some atheists say that humans are the result of a long process of evolution from apes. Okay, but have you seen the process of an ape turning into a man? No, you don't. You only listen to Charles Darwin. Okay, Charles Darwin was the one who came up with this theory. Okay, and the irony is that Charles Darwin himself was a Christian, and he died as a believing Christian. You see, he didn't believe that evolution, the theory of evolution, contradict his beliefs as a Christian. You see, so that's the funny thing about atheism, because you rely on you say that you rely on scientific evidences, but you yourself don't do those same experimentations. You yourself were not involved in those experiments, and you yourself rely on third party or second party sources who have done those experimentations. So you believe those people. Uh, you don't actually have seen it for yourselves. You see, so that was actually what I meant when I say that atheism is a religion. Okay, because atheism is based on the belief that there is no God. Okay, and yeah, all those scientific experimentations just prove our human limitations. And I actually mentioned this in the intro. um it doesn't conclusively prove that there is no God. You see, that's the thing. I mean, you can come up with all sorts of theories and evidences and whatsoever, or what you think are evidences or whatsoever, but you still cannot explain, or you still cannot deny that God conclusively does not exist. You see, that is why in one of my questions to TJump, I asked him this question. I asked, if I were to have a bunch of Lego blocks and I throw it on the ground, would that Lego blocks become a castle? Okay. You know what his answer was? His answer was that the physics doesn't support it. Um, you only explain the how. Okay, you only explain the how or basically how is it possible, how why, or maybe the why, why is it that when you throw the Lego blocks on the ground, it doesn't turn into a castle? The reason is because according to him, the physics doesn't support it. But on where on earth, in what universe does the physics say that whenever you throw something on the ground, it will turn into something? Okay, can anyone tell me what physics is there on this planet or any other planet that that is known to man, where if you throw something on the ground, it will automatically turn into a castle. It's totally impossible. It's not rational. Okay, it totally doesn't make any sense for something to turn into a castle, or not just a castle. Let's say you want to turn it into a car, or you want to turn it into a something of of design. Okay, basically something of design. It's totally irrational and illogical to expect something, even if I were to throw this phone on the ground, it's not going to turn into a castle, right? Or it's not going to turn into a car. So it's totally illogical and irrational to think or to assume that if you throw something on the ground, it will turn into something without an intervention. Okay. I mean, it's possible for me to turn this into a car if I have the technical skill, right? If I have the materials and the knowledge and the know-how, I could take this phone apart, I throw it on the ground, and adding on materials to this phone, I can turn it into a car. It's totally possible, right? I mean, from of course, obviously, I will need more materials. I can't use this alone, right? But the point here is there has to be an intervention, and this is something. Unfortunately, I think I didn't relay this message clearly. So I guess my opponent took advantage of my inadequacy in explaining this. Okay, that is actually my fault for not explaining it properly. Okay, so it's totally my fault in that sense. But I don't think that my arguments are weak in any sense, in any in and however you look at it, my argument wasn't weak. I don't believe that my uh argument was weak. Okay, so anyway, let's continue with the video, right?
So going back to my 5 points, my five major points on why I reject atheism as a Muslim. Okay, so atheism or the atheistic ideology, for me, it relies or focuses too much on the ego, okay, or the worship of the self, or what in philosophy we refer to as selfism. Okay, so its philosophy is basically ambiguous and it's eclectic, meaning it always changes according to the person adopting that specific viewpoint, that particular weton shaung, okay, that particular weton shaung. So an atheist cannot say that his atheism or his approach to atheism is the same as the other person or the other atheists, because if you ask two atheists in a room about a particular viewpoint or a particular moral precept, both will give different answers. Okay, so to me, atheism, morality or ethics as defined in atheism, okay, is a totally abstract concept. Okay, it only revolves around the self. Okay, and let's say I give an example. Let's say if a particular atheist finds incest, okay, to be morally ethical, okay, what is there to prevent them from doing so? Because as a Muslim, I find incest to be actually abhorrent and against my own moral values, right? But an atheist have no reason to reject incest. Okay, it is totally valid to them in their viewpoint, because there's nothing which says that they cannot do it, right? So similarly, okay, if a particular atheist finds cannibalism or even rape to be ethical, what moral law or what moral ethic or what particular rule is there to prevent them from doing so? What is exactly the point for them to say no to that? Because there's no reason for them to say no. They can actually accept it, okay? Because they don't have a book, they don't believe in God, they don't have a book to tell them what to do, they don't have any laws. So why should they not? Why should they not commit rape? Why should they not commit cannibalism? They can accept this easily, right? Okay. So of course there will be atheists who say, no, we are not cannibals. We are against rape. We are against theft. We are against robbery, etc. Yes, you do say this, but the problem here is that whatever morality that you say that you adhere to, it originally came from your former religion. Okay, if you were, let's say, if you were a Christian, if you were a Muslim, you were a Buddhist, then later on in life you decide to become an atheist. Whatever moral values that you adopt prior to your rejection of religion will be carried over, right? So basically, whatever moral precept or ethics that you believe now as an atheist came from when you were raised in, or how you were raised. Okay, it did not come from the principles of atheism itself, because atheism as a moral value or moral ethic is totally vacant on it, right? So okay, so now this is my second point. Okay.
Okay, pausing here. I hope that the explanation is quite clear. There's little to add on to that, but I think there are some gaps in my original explanation in the introduction. Please keep in mind that the original, the introduction, for the introduction, I was only given 10 minutes. So I was actually rushing through the points. So, yeah, I think you can see there were some signs of nervousness on my part. Yeah. Um, can't help it because, yeah, I was rushing for time. And also, I was actually reading some of the comments there. So I guess some of the comments got to me psychologically. And at the same time, I was rushing for time. I was psychologically affected. I was also not relaying my points clearly. And I was woefully conscious of my accent. Yeah, I can't help it. I mean, I can't help speaking like a Malaysian, all right? It's because I'm not from Britain. I'm not from America. You know, how am I supposed to speak like an American, right? I mean, I'm not an American. I am Malaysian. So if my English sucks to you, then too bad, because this is how I'm going to speak, and this is how you're going to live with it. All right. So yeah. So some of the nasty comments that I saw in the comments in modern day debate, they were actually mostly ad hominem. Okay, they weren't dealing with the points, actually, to be honest. In fact, this particular point that I made regarding morality, um TJump didn't actually reply to it. If you I will play the his introduction later. If you notice, he didn't even reply to this. He diverted this, actually. I think he barely touched the point that I made. Basically, my point was, um, atheism doesn't bring any moral value or precept to humankind, to mankind. Okay, what moral value or ethic can you derive from atheism directly? Because um, if we go back to the reasons for atheism, is basically a rejection of religion, right? And they claim that science is the be all and end all to human enlightenment, right? But science doesn't give you ethics, okay? Ethics and morality values or moral values. That is the job of philosophy. So basically, it's like this. Because I had this interesting conversation with a New Testament scholar, whom you will see uploaded in next month. Okay, so basically the argument revolved around what is the criterion of truth. Okay, um, it was a very interesting discussion with him. Okay, this doctor in New Testament and early Christianity. So one of the things he told me, or he said to me, was he gave this analogy. Okay, can you actually use the laws of physics uh, as a criterion to judge history? So I was stumped at that question when he asked me. So I said, I told him, I'm not sure how to answer that question, because physics and history are two different fields. Okay, so but then he told me, but that's exactly my point. You can't use physics to judge, or you can't use physics, the laws of physics, as a criterion to judge history, and vice versa, because these are two disciplines, two totally different disciplines with their own sciences. Okay, so going back to this debate, right? So I would say that this is also true for atheism, for science and morality. Okay, you can't use science, the laws of science, as a criterion or as an example to judge religion or the laws of morality, because these are two separate disciplines. How is it possible for you to use the laws of science to determine whether murder is acceptable? Because if you look at the theory of evolution, of adaptability, the laws of the jungle, basically how a species, how the survival of species, okay, the survival of species basically, murder is rampant, or survival through murder is rampant throughout the animal kingdom. Okay, in order to survive, animals kill each other. Okay, I mean, you can just open, or you can just look at a national geographic documentary where you can find filmmakers recording videos of lions chasing after antelopes, and how they stalk their prey and kill them, etc. Right? It's all done for survival, and it's acceptable in the animal kingdom. So, are you going to use that moral precept to it's permissible to murder for the sake of survival? So basically, if let's say if I'm a hungry, poor peasant who has nothing to live for, I am homeless, I am living under in the streets, let's say I'm hungry, I cannot find food to eat, etc. Is it acceptable for me to raid the house? Let's say if I'm poor, degenerate, homeless, etc. And if I were walking along the street in this condition, and I me a huge bungalow with all this wealth and opulence, and the owner of the house is walking in uh in his lawn, okay, in his house, in his garden, walking happily with all his wealth, and showing off his gold. Let's say he's wearing a gold watch, for example. Would it be permissible for me to break into his house, kill the man, and steal his watch, and basically rob his house? Would that be morally acceptable? Because I'm poor, I'm hungry, I'm almost going to die, and for survival's sake, I use the excuse of survival. I go into this man's house and I kill the man. I rape his children, his wife, his children, and I steal his gold and all his wealth in the house. Would that be acceptable to me using science? Okay. According to science, the answer is yes. I can do it because it's for survival. But according to the laws of ethics and morality, basically the principles of religion, no, it's wrong. It's morally wrong, because you're not supposed to kill another person. Another person. You're not supposed to murder person. You're not supposed to steal his wealth. It's totally forbidden, and it's morally and ethically unacceptable, right? So these are things which science have no answer for, because science is a totally different discipline. Science can only tell you the bare facts, but from an ethical and moral perspective, only religion can tell you that. So this was actually the point that I was trying to convey. But yeah, of course, I was nervous. Okay, basically, I was just plain nervous, and yeah, the crowd. I think the sister mentioned the comments. I will go through your comments after this review. But basically, I saw one of your comments saying that the crowd was against me. Yeah, and I agree with you. The crowd was against me in modern day debate, in the modern day debate chat. Right? I don't mind that. It's just that maybe the comments got to me psychologically, because it was my first debate with an atheist. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I didn't quite get to say what I wanted to say. Right. So anyway, let's continue again. All right.
Okay. Atheism, for me, this is it's a big issue for me. Okay. Atheism doesn't give a definitive answer to the question of origin of, right? So can atheism answer where did man come from? What is the purpose of man? What is the purpose of him being on earth? What is his moral imperative? I mean, is he here? Is mankind here simply to live and reproduce and then die like an animal? So what happens after death? The issue of afterlife. Where does the soul go? I mean, do atheists actually believe in a soul? You just believe that we just live and we die and then the soul dissipates into nothing? Is that the answer that atheism can give me? Okay. And what happens after death? Will there be any retribution for misdeeds that you commit? Will there be any repercussions for what you have done on earth? Let's say if you have committed a crime and robbery or whatever, but you were never arrested for it, and then when you die it just ends there. I mean, what is the justice in that? Okay. So going back to that particular point, so we have in history we have people like Hitler, like Stalin, like Pol Pot. These people were never tried for their crimes. I mean, Hitler shot himself, okay, in his bunker. Then they never actually put him on trial for anything. Stalin died an old man. Pol Pot, same thing. Okay, so what happened? What will happen to these people? Okay, these people committed mass murders. Okay, Hitler sent the Jews to gas chambers, right? So where is the justice? Where is the retribution for Hitler if Hitler simply dies and it ends there? I mean, death for him will be a sweet escape from the punishment of this earth if atheism is correct and mankind just expires and disappears, okay, and that there is no God, okay. So will these people actually face justice for their misdeeds? I mean, where is the justice in this, right? So that's my second point. Now my third point.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I think I made a good point. It's not that I don't think I don't think the point was bad, right? I think it was a very solid and it's a very solid and justified point. Basically, it's about justice and retribution. Okay. The point is simple. Okay, what happens to accountability? Okay, or what happens to people who die on earth without facing any accountability for their crimes while they were living on earth? So it's basically that's the point. That's why I gave the example of Hitler, Stalin, and Pol Pot. Of course, there are many dictators and despots throughout history, but I just gave three, right? So you can extend the list, actually, not just Hitler, Pol Pot, or Stalin. You can even extend to Kim Il Sung, okay, Kim Jong Il, okay. His Kim Jong Il's son is still on Earth, so we can mention him. Yeah, so there's so many Robert Mugabe is atheist. I can't put him. Okay, so basically anyone who doesn't believe in religion, okay, or even those who believe in religion, you can actually list them out. So basically the issue is this: if someone commits a crime on earth, a very devious crime, and yet he escapes punishment from earth due to his influence, due to his wealth, due to his power, or whatever reason, or maybe he does it in, secretly, and he escapes justice on earth, what happens to him after he dies? Is the crime that he did, is the crime that he has done, going to just disappear along with him? Then what would be the point of what would be the point of punishing people for their crimes? Yeah. So yeah, I mean there's no point punishing people for their crimes if all that is going to happen is that when the person dies, it's just going to disappear, right? I mean, there's no retribution, there's no, the concept of justice suddenly becomes hollow. Okay, no, without meaning. Okay, basically the concept of justice just doesn't exist if you say that there's no life after death. So this is actually an issue of life after death, right? So atheism, I mean, science cannot tell us what happens after death because we don't have the instruments or the methods to determine what happens after life. It doesn't mean that life after death doesn't exist, you see. So this is something I should have explained a bit more, but I guess Unfortunately, I guess I didn't explain myself very well. Again, I was nervous. Okay, I admit it freely. I was nervous, and I don't think I explained my points well due to the limitations of time. I think I was explaining too much on the point itself, to the point that I couldn't make my the main core, the main thrust of the point more clearly than it should be, right? So I guess I was giving too many examples to the point that I couldn't, or I didn't deliver the point clearly. So yeah. So actually TJump actually didn't get the point. To be honest, he didn't get the point. He was saying that I am saying that these people were atheists. I didn't say Hitler, Pol Pot, and Stalin were atheists. I know that at least two of them were atheists, but one of them is disputable whether he was an atheist or otherwise. But that wasn't the point. The point was about justice. You see, so it doesn't matter whether it was a theist or not. I mean, I can just put Robert Mugabe there. Okay, okay. So if Robert Mugabe is a Christian and he dies and there's no afterlife, so where's the accountability for his crimes while he was on Earth? While he's a despot. Okay, even Idi Amin. I can put Idi Amin in the list. So if Idi Amin dies and there's no retribution for his sins, then what would be the point of justice? There's no justice on earth. I mean, because basically earth is you live, you reproduce, you die, and that's it. Whatever you do on earth, there's no repercussions whatsoever. So you can just simply live your life. Yeah, a hedonistic life without any without thinking without any consequences whatsoever, and thinking that there won't be any consequences to your life, right? Even though your actions may actually cause a lot of harm. Okay, yeah, we can put even Vladimir Putin in the list as well if he decides to go on his war against Ukraine. Okay, so that will cause a lot of death. So let's say Vladimir Putin escapes this and he dies, and there's no justice meted out to him while he's still alive. So what would be the point of the justice system then if there's no afterlife? You see, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. But unfortunately, yeah, as I said, due to my limitations in trying to convey the point, I guess I was again the nerves just kicked in, and that is why the point wasn't so clear. Okay, so anyway, let's go to the third point. All right.
Atheism, to me, is inherently hedonistic, and it also leads to fatalism. Okay, it gives man no real purpose to life or living. Okay, so basically, atheism is saying that mankind just lives and it is so, and we just continue our own miserable lives. We go to work and we come back to work. We sleep, we eat, and we reproduce, and we die, and it ends. That's the story. I mean, uh, so what is the purpose of life? I mean, what is the what would be the purpose of this apart from living your life as it is? And going back to the point being hedonistic, uh, why do you need to bother obeying social laws? I mean, do you need to obey? Why do you need to obey the traffic rules or laws or penal codes or criminal laws or whatever when your life is has no further consequences? Okay, after you die. Okay.
Okay, I admit that was very painful to watch because I was already stammering, and I don't know why my English suddenly degenerated into such a manner. I don't usually speak like that, and you know that I don't usually speak like that. I'm actually quite fluent in English. It's just that, again, the nerves set in. Okay, and the points were all over the place. Okay, as you can see, the points were all over the place. I'm laughing at myself, yeah, because I know the point is a solid point. It's just that again the nerves set in, and it's very painful to watch. Okay, it's very painful to watch myself trying to explain something which I know is correct, but unfortunately because I was nervous, and I was hesitant in explaining, and I for some reason my I was stammering at the same time, so I was trying to balance that. And yeah, all these factors came into play, and yeah, that is why I was a mess. Yeah, I just became a mess. Yeah, yeah. I know it's very painful to watch, but anyway, let's continue again. All right.
So whatever repercussions that you have done here on Earth, you don't actually face them if you die. Okay, after you die. So what would be the point of of obeying such laws? I mean, if you want to commit rape, you want to commit murder, and you can escape that, you can escape the laws here on Earth. After you die, there's nothing. I mean, I hope you get the point, right? So beyond the need to survive and to reproduce, man has no reason to exist. This is what atheism actually argues for. Okay, okay. So even the desire to gain knowledge, okay, or even self-improvement is meaningless, because when one dies, all this knowledge, all this um, wealth, and I mean, all the self-improvement, all the learning that you get. Let's say, you know how to do math, you know how to do chemistry, you know how to do, history, etc. All this knowledge, all this grand wealth of human knowledge. When you die, it becomes nothing. Okay. I mean, of course, there will be people who will carry on forward your work, but what benefit does it bring to you yourself as a human, as a human being? I mean, it just ends there when you die. You see. So so this is my third point. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess if I wasn't clear enough, I think I will make it clear now. Basically, I was talking about knowledge, okay, human knowledge, human experience. I should have used the word human experience. I don't know why I didn't say human experience. I was really a ball of nerves, right? So my point was basically like this: what would be the point for you as a person, as an individual, as a human being, gaining knowledge, learning from experiences? You know, let's say, for example, if you are a digital marketer, or you are an engineer, or you are a doctor, okay, and you go to work, you help people with your knowledge. You go to school, yeah, you go to school, you go to university, you go to college, and you study all this and become a better person, and you help the world, you help the society that you are in. But at the end of the day, you die, and all this knowledge, all this wealth of experience, all these good deeds helping people, it just goes to nothing. That is what science tells you. That is what atheism tells you. Uh, because the science today that we have today doesn't have a measuring standard, or a tool, or an experiment to determine whether there is an afterlife or not. Therefore, the science today says that the afterlife doesn't exist. So, if the afterlife doesn't exist, then what will be the point for you gaining wealth of experience and knowledge in the first place? Because when you die, your good deeds are going to be meaningless after you die. Because when after you die, there won't be any. You won't get any reward for it. You won't get any uh, justice for it. You won't get any nothing. Basically, nothing. It just ends when you die, and your all your hard works from the day you were born until the day you die is worthless. So you can say this would actually I think this would be related to nihilism of sorts, because basically there's no purpose of living. There's no purpose of living. Yeah. So that was actually my point. Is the purpose of life. What would be the purpose of man's life on earth if all you get is nothing, right? Because from nothing we come, and to nothing we return. So what happens after you die? I mean, is reincarnation true? According to science, there's no evidence for that. Is the life in the afterlife true? Will there be a judgment on the last day? There's no evidence of that according to science. Will there be karma? Maybe, we will turn into a ball of energy, and we turn into something, I don't know, we will turn into something else. There's no evidence of that. See? So I mean, from a scientific perspective, of course. So because of the lack of scientific evidence, you conclude that afterlife, or the life after death doesn't exist. I mean, isn't that a hasty conclusion to make, just because you don't have the tools or the scientific experiments to determine whether this is true or false. I don't think that any rational person can conclude that life after death doesn't exist simply because the science doesn't have the means to determine whether this is true or false. And why do you assume that life after death doesn't exist simply because there's no evidence for it? I mean, that's really a dumb thing to do, isn't it? That is why in my one of my questions to TJump, he was saying that actually it was a response to TJump. TJump actually said God doesn't exist because God is only a fiction of your imagination. So I asked him this question. I asked him, if I imagine that your mom doesn't exist, would that be true? So the thing is, I was trying to, but of course the argument went into a different direction. Actually, what I meant was his reasoning for saying that God is just an imagination in the head is a fallacy, because I can just imagine something in my head and say it's false. So does that mean, I mean, does that make it true? That make my statement true? Let's say I imagine a Ferrari and I say a Ferrari, no, no, sorry, if I make the claim that a Ferrari is just a figment of my imagination in my head, simply because I've never owned a Ferrari, does that make my statement true? Okay, that's the point. So you can't actually use the argument that just because you cannot measure God through scientific evidences, you cannot measure religion through experimentation, that the claims of religion through experimentation, it doesn't mean that it's false. Okay, see, that was the point I was trying to make. I was trying to tell him, or trying to show him that that his rationale is a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy. But unfortunately, I didn't relate it. Again, as I've said earlier on, and even now I'm going to say it, I was a ball of nerves. Okay. And I admit it freely. I was a ball of nerves. My specialism is in Judeo Christianity. That is what I can tell you. I'm going to be very, very new, jumping into atheism. But, as Tony Stark would say, quoting from the Iron Man movie, sometimes you need to run before you walk. Okay. So I'm jumping into the flames, so to speak, in dealing with atheism. And I need to jump into the flames because I need to deal with atheists and atheism, basically. Okay. I see that there's a lot. Again, there are 4 people right now watching this stream. Thank you for watching this stream. I can see a lot of comments here. I even see an atheist. I think Ben of Hawks, are you an atheist? Can you answer the question whether you're an atheist or not? I see that you have a lot of questions here. But I'm not. I'm going to finish my stream first before I attend to your comments. All right. So please bear with me. Okay, it's not that I'm ignoring your comments. It's just that I'm postponing replying to your comments until much later. All right. So let me finish my introduction first. I mean, sorry. Let me finish uh, my analysis of my introduction in the debate first, and then I'll come to your comments. Okay. So anyway, let me play the video again. Right.
Now, my fourth point. Okay. Atheism. Yes, all right. So I'll make it quick. Okay. Atheism leads to serious mental health issues. Okay. So there are problems such as depression and eventually suicide. So I'm going to show here a small if you give me one second to share this. Right. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, because of the technical issues that Zoom has. For some reason, Zoom cannot show, because we were debating on the Zoom platform. For some reason, Zoom couldn't show this image that I was going to share, and this actually hampered the point a bit. Okay, because I was going to show the statistics showing that the number of atheist suicides are far more than any theistic religion. Okay, for Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, etc. So the number, so the image here that I was going to show displays the graphic for these stats. Okay, which I need to uh I think I'm going to have to show it here because that will make the point clearer. So anyway, let's play the video. Give me some time to look for while this video continues. I will look for that particular statistic. Right? Okay, give me a moment. Right? I mean, let's continue with the video. Right?
The share is almost ready. They can't see your screen yet. It says Muslim Apologist has started screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode, which for me that I don't want to enter the full screen mode. Just want to let you know that your slides aren't showing yet. Are you there? Can you hear
He's
me?
muted. He's muted.
Oh, Muslim Apologist, I just asked you to unmute. It should show a window that'll pop up, but I also can't see your slides yet. Muslim Apologist, we cannot see your slides and we can't hear you either.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I when I show my slides, I got muted by itself. So I'm afraid I can't show the statistics. But anyway, just to make it quick, the stats actually say that the number of atheists who die from suicide is higher than theists, right? So this proves my point that atheism leads to mental health issues, right? And according to studies, higher religiousness results in higher meaning in life, whereas atheism and agnostic beliefs result in suicidal thoughts. Okay, so my last point, since I
Okay, so I'm going to share with you now the image that I was supposed to share during that debate, which unfortunately couldn't go through due to the technical difficulties that the moderator James faced. Okay, so let me share my screen now because I'm using Streamlabs, which in my opinion is much more superior to Zoom. Right? Okay, so I'm going to share this. This was the image that I was supposed to share. All right. Okay. So yeah, I hope you guys can see this. Okay, let me make it larger, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yep, it's larger now, I guess. Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. So yeah, I hope everyone can see the screen. If you can't, please make it larger. All right. So yeah. So basically yeah, suicide rates per 100,000 people according to religion. So as you can see, Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, atheists, right? So the number of atheists who commit suicide, okay, the rate being per 100,000 people, is far more than any theistic religion. Okay. And in the case of Islam, Islam is the lowest. See? So this was actually the point that I wanted to share with with the audience on uh on the debate, on modern day debate. But unfortunately, yeah, due to technical issues, I couldn't share this particular image, right? So it kind of hampered my point somewhat because I was just basically I sounded as though I was just making a claim without evidence, right? But this particular image actually has a description here that you can see here. You can read all this. Yeah, so blah blah blah, prevention of suicide, global figures and statistics are very suitable, blah blah blah. It actually gives the names of these people. These two uh these two people here, Jose Manuel Bartolote and also Alexandra Flinchman, were the people who came up with the statistics. And there's also references here, suicide rate in China, primary prevention of mental, neurological, and physiosocial, physio, psychosocial disorders from WHO in Geneva, 1998. And then there's also figures and facts about suicide from WHO in 1999. Okay. So it came from reputable sources, right? That's the whole point. But unfortunately, yeah, I couldn't share that. And then I wanted to share this as well, but because I couldn't share the first image, so I just kind of skipped this point. So this is about life satisfaction. So as So basically, as a as a as a person, a believer in any particular ideology, or disbeliever in religion, how is the level of life satisfaction for you? And these stats here actually tells us that for that Islam, among all the other religions in this list, has the highest level of satisfaction, life satisfaction. Okay, so Islam brings satisfaction to life. Okay, whereas atheists have the lowest uh, level of life satisfaction. So this is something I wanted to show throughout in the debate, but unfortunately, I couldn't show it. And in fact, there's a description here. Okay, so this description actually says only Muslims, Buddhists, and Jewish respondents have a significantly higher life satisfaction. Okay, and oneness beliefs have a very strong positive effect on life satisfaction. I mean, the description is self-explanatory, and I should have shown this during the debate, but unfortunately, yeah, again, ball of nerves, technical issues that the debater faced in the platform. Yeah, all this came into play, right? So yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the video again. Let me share my screen again. Oops, okay, I made a mistake here clicking this. Okay, this is yeah, I need to share my screen with the video. I like the way that this video or this live stream is going, because I think I finally managed to present my case properly now. Okay, so there were a lot of things that I wanted to share which were lacking in my debate, in my opening debate, in my opening statement. So yeah, and I think now, since I'm controlling the show now, so I think I can relay my points much more clearly, and I'm not limited by time. I have been speaking for the past 1 hour and 12 minutes. Wow, that's a very long time. Okay, for just 5 points. All right. Okay, so imagine if I were given an hour to speak. I think for the opening statement, I'm pretty sure I could have made my case more clearly. But yeah, unfortunately, I only imagine this. I have been speaking for almost 1 hour and 12 minutes to just describe 4 points. Okay, only 4 points. We haven't gone to the last point yet. And in the opening debate that I had with TJump, I only had 10 minutes to summarize everything that I have been explaining now. So I think I've made my case well so far. I guess, like I said, ball of nerves, time limitation, technical issues, the opponent being quite and then, sorry, the psychological effect of from the comments, etc., from the comments at modern day debate, etc. So these are all factors that came into play and made me a ball of nerves, and I couldn't express myself properly during the debate. Okay, so most of these factors are actually due to my own weaknesses. I freely admit this. It's not because of the points. I think my points are actually quite solid. Okay, so anyway, let's go to the last point. All right, that I want that I presented in this opening debate.
I only have like 1 minute left. Okay. So the last point is that atheism has made no significant contribution to mankind or to civilization. Okay. There is no such thing as an atheist civilization. Okay. The closest that we probably have to atheists dictating state policy or state atheism are countries like North Korea, People's Republic of China, Soviet Union, and Cuba. At least until for in the case of Cuba, it was until 1992, right? So as we all know, these countries aren't exactly the moral paradigm or values. There's a lot of intolerance of minorities, persecution, etc., and enforced state ideology upon the population. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of rushed through the last point very fast. So yeah, because the moderator was telling me I only had about 1 minute left, and then I was faced with the technical issue of sharing that screenshots that I shared with you earlier. So yeah, because of that, I had to cut short my argument. I was going to give examples where you know where I was going to give more examples about that to relay that point. I was actually going to give examples of how Islam has brought civilization to the world. I was actually going to mention Islam a bit more. Okay. But like I said, yeah, ball of nerves, lack of time. So I only like had half a minute left because of the technical issue that happened earlier. Okay, so yeah, but basically the point is this. Okay, the point is this: what significant contribution has atheism brought to the world as a world civilization? There is literally zero. Okay, it's literally zero. There's no such thing as an atheist civilization. Okay, we have a Jewish civilization. Okay, the ancient Israel, not the Israel of today, but the Israel of the past. Okay, before the Romans came, that Israel, okay, the Israel of Dawood, of David and Solomon, okay, Sulaiman alayhi salam, peace be upon them. Okay, that civilization, yes, there was a Jewish civilization or Israelite civilization. There was uh, there was the Sassanids, right? The Sassanid civilization. They weren't atheists, they were theists, right? There was the Persian civilization. Okay, they were Zoroastrians. They weren't atheists. Okay, and of course there was the there is the Islamic civilization. Okay, which exists until today as the Muslim world. Okay, okay, right. So there are literally like a few hundred countries under the ambit of the Muslim world. Okay, including my own country, Malaysia. Right. So yes, Islam has brought civilization to the world. Christianity has brought civilization to the world. Even Judaism has brought civilization to the world. Even the pagans, the pagans, the Zoroastrians have brought civilization to a certain extent to the world. There's also the Egyptian civilization to the world, but they weren't atheists. Okay, none of these civilizations, the world civilizations that I mentioned, were or are atheists. There's no such thing as an atheist civilization. Okay. I mean, there are individuals in the modern world today who claim to be atheists and claim to have contributed something to the world. So, for example, maybe Stephen Hawking. Yeah, and he was a committed atheist of sorts. Okay. He did give the theory of the black hole, right? Maybe Albert Einstein. I'm not really sure whether Albert Einstein was an atheist. I think he was more of a deist. Okay. But yeah, I mean, apart from these individuals who have contributed in some way to sciences, were they part of an atheist civilization? Yeah, they weren't. They weren't. There's no such thing as an atheist civilization even to today. Okay. So the examples that I gave, okay, like for example, North Korea. North Korea, their ideology is atheistic. Okay, they disallow religion. Okay, they ban religion in general. Okay, they don't allow Islam to be practiced. They don't allow Christianity to be practiced. They don't allow any religion, not even Buddhism or Shintoism, not even the Asian religions are allowed to be practiced in North Korea. Okay, so basically for all claims and purposes, North Korea is an atheist nation. Okay, so what has North Korea brought to the world? Can you tell? Can anyone answer this question? Okay, yeah, yes, correct, brother. Let me play this. Alright. Yes, Juche. Yes, correct. This is the ideology that they bring, North Korea. Okay, so Juche is actually an atheistic concept. Okay, it's a combination of atheism and socialism in a way. Okay, so this is their state ideology, and for all claims and purposes, they are an atheist country, atheist state, because they enforce. When I say atheist state, I mean a state which enforces atheism as a state ideology. Okay, so again, this is something I didn't explain properly in that introduction that I did, the opening statement. I guess that's weaknesses on my part. Okay. So my point is still valid. It's not that it wasn't valid at all. It's just that I didn't explain myself clearly, I guess. And yeah, and also China. We yes, China is now quite capitalistic. Okay, we have to admit this, but it is still a communist nation. And even though unlike North Korea, China does allow some form of religion to be practiced, but they highly discourage it. Okay, they highly discourage they highly discourage religion in general. So China, the People's Republic of China, for all claims and purposes, is also an atheistic state. Okay, so what has China, this China that we know today, the modern China that we know today? I'm not talking about the China prior to the communist ascension. By the way, please do not confuse this with the previous dynasties, the previous China dynasties, because the previous China dynasties were theistic. Okay, they had a religion. Okay, so I'm comparing. I'm saying what has the modern day China of today brought to the world, okay, as a civilization. Please don't confuse this with the China of the past, okay, the China that is theistic in nature. So communist China, yeah, they have brought economic wealth, I guess, but that is only because they have become more capitalistic. But as an atheist state, I don't think they have brought anything to the table, right? And well, we are fortunate that the China of today does allow some form of religion to be practiced, even though there has been some restrictions. Okay. Oh, by the way, Islam is widely practiced in China, and there are Muslims in China. And I'm not talking about the Uyghurs. Okay, I'm talking about the Hui Muslims. Okay, so Islam is actually a very strong minority religion in China, in mainland China, and Islam is recognized as part of Chinese culture. This is something not many people know. Okay. Um. Anyway. Yeah. So even until today, China has some respect for Islam. Okay. And this respect is not extended to the Jews, it's not extended to Christianity, because Christianity is actually banned in China. Sorry, Christians, but Christianity is not allowed in China. And the Jews, unfortunately, the Jews in China, they are being oppressed, and I believe they still exist. It's just that they have gone underground, because I saw this documentary about the Jews of Kaifeng. Okay, so most of the Jews from Kaifeng, they have moved to Israel today, but there is still a synagogue in Kaifeng. It's just that it's not populated, and I think for a synagogue to still exist, it must have a congregation of at least 10 people. And the fact that it's still standing shows that there must be a congregation of 10 people. Okay, because if there's less than 10 people, they must close the synagogue. Okay, they must close down the synagogue. This is in Jewish law. So I have reasons to believe that Judaism is still practiced in China. It's just that it's very underground. But going back to the point, basically, I'm saying that Islam is recognized in China, but not Christianity and not Judaism. Yeah. Yeah. Christianity is considered to be an offensive religion in China, actually. In fact, if you become a Christian in China, you can be jailed. Yeah, good for them, right? Yeah. I mean, I wish this happens all throughout the world. Yeah, evil laugh. Okay. So anyway, okay, yeah, Soviet Union. Okay, Soviet Union, until the disbandment of the Soviet Union in 1990, it was atheistic. Okay. Again, Islam was also widely practiced, is still widely practiced in uh, the Soviet Union, and yeah, that's why we have countries like Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Yeah, okay. So these are countries that came out from the post Soviet Union, right? So these countries are predominantly Muslim. Okay, by the way. Okay. So Islam is also present in the Soviet Union. But again, going back to the point, what contribution did the Soviet Union as an atheist state gave to the world apart from nuclear bombs? Okay, as far as I could tell, there was zero contribution as atheist. Okay, as an atheist state. Okay, as an atheist state, so the Soviet Union has brought nothing whatsoever to the table, and has not contributed anything as a to human civilization. Okay, so again, zero contribution from atheists. Okay, okay, it's because at the time, atheism was a state ideology in the Soviet Union. Okay, now the last example that I gave, Cuba. Okay, so I think this is quite straightforward. Apart from Fidel Castro, what did Cuba, or what has Cuba done to bring human civilization to greatness? Can anyone answer that question? Okay, right. Again, zero benefit to the world. Okay, and please keep in mind, as I mentioned in the opening statement, Cuba declared itself as an atheist state until 1992. Okay, but even so, after 1992, have you known anything else from Cuba apart from Cuban cigars? Because I don't know of any contribution that Cuba has brought to the table in order to bring humankind to a better to a better life. Okay, with its atheistic ideology. Again, zero contribution, zero contribution. So yeah, unfortunately, again, I was a ball of nerves. I wasn't speaking like how I usually speak, like how I'm speaking now. You see, so totally nervous, totally didn't get the idea on how to present my points, rushing for time, compressing all my explanations into 1 minute. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when the clock is ticking. Right. So I think only those people who have debated before would understand this. Okay. So unfortunately, because of these human weaknesses of mine, um, I don't think I presented my points properly. I'm not saying my points are bad. I'm saying my points were very good. It's just that my presentation suck. Okay, and I freely admit this. Okay. Yeah, because and also because my presentation suck, a lot of those idiots in the modern debate chat were deriding me and my English, etc. Because they noticed that I was a ball of nerves. Yeah, so I guess that's totally my fault. Okay, but I think they don't have anything to say against my points because I didn't get a definitive answer to any of the points that I raised. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so I'm going to play TJump's response to this, and then after this, I'm not going to go to the Q&A because I think my analysis of this opening from me and the analysis that I will do later for TJump's opening statement will be enough to cover the Q&A side of things, or maybe I will make a separate session for that. I don't know. So it is getting quite late as it is. Okay, so I will do that, and then I'll go to your comments, and after that, then we'll wrap the show, right? But yeah, it's already about 1 minute and 27, 1 hour, sorry, 1 hour and 27 minutes. Wow, that's a very long time. Yeah, I still have 30 minutes plus, so it's all right. But anyway, let me play the opening from TJump. Do note something from him. He did not reply to any of my thrusts against atheism. He did not address any of them. All he did was straw manning me and poisoning the well and maybe some ad hominem. I'm not sure. I'll guess I'll know if I play this, right? So anyway, let's go to the video and
Thank you very much. And want to let you know, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. We hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you are from. And we're going to kick it over to Tom for his opening statement. But thank you very much, Tom. And 1 second, I'm going to reverse the screens because he just flipped on me. I'm not sure why, but go ahead, Tom. The floor is all yours.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My Zoom like crashed, I think. I don't know what that was about. Yeah, so apparently our debate is about Islam versus atheism, but I didn't hear any evidence presented for Islam, just complaints that he doesn't like atheism or he doesn't like the fact that we don't make stuff up. Like the biggest objection here is that yeah, atheists don't make stuff up about answers they don't know the answer to. We just say except we don't know. So we could make stuff up. Like here's the biggest kicker is that all atheists could make up answers just like theists do. What is the meaning of life? Well, potato. That's the meaning of life. And now I have an equally valid answer to Islam because Islam has no evidence. So anybody can make up any answer they want to the questions of life and give an answer. The question is there any evidence to support it? And there's no evidence to support anything Islam says. It's completely made up. It's just an arbitrary assertion, just like all religions. So atheism prefers to go with like the actual evidential positions and go with what we actually.
So basically, what he's saying is that because science doesn't have any evidence for the purpose of life, therefore is false. That's what he's saying. That's all. That's what TJump is actually saying. I mean, that's not evidence. That's just denial. That's just denial and straw man. And I would say there's some ad hominem there as well, because how is it possible for science to measure, to use something, to have a theory or to have an experiment as a yardstick to judge the claims of religion? Because that's not the purpose of science. The purpose of science is to measure the world that we are living in now. Okay, so basically it goes to the argument of is it necessary, is the world necessary or contingent? Okay, for example, if I ask you this question, is this can of root beer, okay, necessary or contingent? Okay, it's a very philosophical question, but basically science cannot answer that question because it's not the purpose of science to answer this. Okay, so he's not answering my question. He's not answering my question, my point at all, in fact. Yeah, so anyway, let's continue again.
We know is the case rather than make stuff up, which means atheism is inherently the better position. Secondly, atheism does more for the world than literally any other position. Like atheism, most of the highest ranking scientists in the world are atheists. Like go to the National Academy of Sciences or the Royal Society. Percent of theists is 5%. 5% of people believe in a God. The vast majority do not believe in a God. It's the case that so atheism has done more for.
You see, he make claims, but he doesn't provide his source. Where is the source for this claim? He's just making claims, saying 5% this, 10% that. I don't see any sources being cited. I don't see any evidence that he presented. I mean, okay, you can say that because of the technical issues with Zoom, you can't present the screenshot or whatever it is. But I was trying to do that. He didn't even try to do that. He was just dismissing everything what I said as inconsequential. Does that remind you of someone? Yes, it does. It reminds me of Apis. So he's doing the same thing. TJump is basically thinking the same way as Apis is doing, has done. Okay, so for him, everything is inconsequential because there's no evidence. I mean, what is your criteria for finding evidence, for showing evidence, for something, for what is your criteria for something that constitutes as evidence? You haven't actually stated that. All you have done is to dismiss my point. Dismiss. No points whatsoever. This guy doesn't have any clue what he's saying, to be honest. But yeah, of course, I should have pressed this point on him, but I guess I was a ball of nerves. You can see I think if you look at the my reaction, my body language is quite obvious that I'm actually not exactly myself. Okay, this is my true self, but that guy that you see there wearing in yellow is not me. I was on a different plane. To put it mildly. All right. So anyway, yeah, let's continue with the I'll try not to interject, but if this guy does something or says something which I feel the need to comment, I will do that. All right.
Pretty much literally everything in the world than Islam has. Non-secular societies have the absolute best stats, the least crime, the least rape, the least divorce, the most education, the highest standard of living, the highest access to food. Literally, the less religious you go, the better society is in literally every measurable respect. And the more religious you go, the worse it is in literally every measurable respect. There's this common theme among theists that they're confused. They don't understand that cherry picking the worst examples of atheism, like Hitler or Stalin, which aren't atheists at all, or not atheist organizations whatsoever, still doesn't show that.
See, the guy, he totally misunderstood my point when I raised up when I mentioned the names of Hitler, Pol Pot, and Stalin. That wasn't my point. I wasn't claiming that they are atheists. Okay, I wasn't saying at all that because they are atheists, they contributed to the atheists do not contribute anything to the world. I wasn't arguing this. This wasn't my point. My point was, if these people like Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, maybe even Idi Amin, Robert Mugabe, Kim Il Sung, Kim Jong Il, just name any dictator on the list, okay? Even Napoleon, you can even put Napoleon in the list because some people say that he was a dictator, okay? You can even put King Louis the 14th in the list, okay? Right? If these people are committing crimes, did commit crimes on earth, and they die, and there's nothing that will happen to them in the afterlife, then what would be the point of justice? Because then they will get away with the issue, with their crimes on earth. I mean, like for example, Hitler. Okay, he, like I did mention this in the opening statement, right? He sent the Jews to the gas chambers, and he was never tried for it. I mean, we know he did it, we know he ordered it, but was he tried for his crimes? Did he get his proper punishment, and was justice served when he was on earth? It wasn't, because he shot himself in the head in his bunker. They found his body burned, okay, with evidence of him being shot in the head, lah. Right? So no, justice wasn't served onto him. Okay, I mean, basically, death for him was a sweet release because he didn't go to jail, he wasn't hanged, he didn't suffer for anything he has done. Well, apart from losing the war, of course. So where is the justice in that? If he's going to die, if he died, and there's no retribution for his crimes. So that was my point. But this guy totally didn't get it. He was totally clueless, to be honest. Unfortunately, again, I didn't press in the point. I don't know why I didn't took him to account for that. I think it was my mistake on my behalf. After replaying this, then only I noticed this mistake of his. I never claimed that Hitler, Pol Pot, and Stalin were atheists, and therefore atheists are responsible for the world's problems. No, that's not my argument. Okay, that's not my argument at all. So he totally missed the point. Okay, basically he elected a straw man, right? Okay, so anyway, let's continue again. Yeah.
Atheism is bad because guess what? Most atheists are better than those two and don't adhere to those two. So saying that they're the example of atheism is like saying that the people who flew planes into the Twin Towers are the pinnacle of Islam. So
I never said that Hitler, Stalin, and Pol Pot were moral examples of atheism. That wasn't my argument. Again, not my argument. So he's making a straw man. He's making a straw man. He didn't get my argument at all, and it was my mistake for not pressing him on it. So anyway, that's
his argument that Stalin and Mao are examples of atheists and that what atheists are really like is like if I said, well, every Muslim is like the terrorists who flew planes into the Twin Towers, like cherry picking the worst examples and then using those as a way to try and claim that is the epitome of that.
no, TJump. I wasn't cherry picking. I wasn't even using these people as examples of atheism. You totally missed my point. I was saying that where is the justice if life after death doesn't exist, and these people died without getting their due punishment? So what's the point on this earth? I mean, so what's the point of them that of justice? There's no point of having justice because anyone can simply commit crimes and they can and without any retribution whatsoever, or without any consequences whatsoever for their crimes, if they are not caught, or if they have sufficient influence and wealth to escape retribution. So that was my point. But again, he didn't get it. He was claiming that these people are examples of atheism. No, no, that's not my argument. Okay, that's totally not my argument. Okay, that's the thing. All right. So anyway,
That ideology. Secondly, Hitler and Stalin and Mao had nothing to do with atheism. Atheism is literally a not belief. They literally lack something. Calling any of those movements atheist movements is like calling them non-golf player movements. Hitler didn't play golf, and that's what inspired him to kill all the Jews. Well, clearly not. The fact that he didn't play golf or the fact that he didn't believe in God can never be a positive motivating factor in what inspired him to do the things he did. You must have a positive motivating belief to cause those actions, which is politically not atheism. So we can prove definitively, as every single academic everywhere in the world admits, that those are not atheist movements because they have literally nothing to do with atheism, because it's not actually a positive belief. You have to be an idiot to think that those are atheist movements, which most theists are conveniently. Secondly, we know that all of the evidence indicates there is no God. All of the academic fields in literally everything from biology, math, physics, cosmology, philosophy, all atheists. All of them, none of them have ever corroborated a God. God has been proven false in pretty much every realm it could have been. There is no evidence to support the existence of God whatsoever. Just nothing. And so theists decry, they complain that, well, you guys don't have an explanation for the meaning of life or how human or how the universe began or whatever. It's all just arguments from ignorance. Those are literally called arguments from ignorance. It doesn't mean a good argument. It's saying you don't know, therefore you're wrong. Clearly not the case. In fact, it's usually always the other way around. The people who claim to know are always wrong, which has been proven by religion time and time again. Where they think they know something, they're always proven wrong by science, and which is secular.
Again, did he bring any evidence for this claim? Nothing. He just talks his way out, and yeah, again, my own weaknesses, because I didn't. It's my own weakness because I didn't take him or hold him to account for this. So yeah, no. Basically, he's just saying that because there's no evidence, therefore it's false. Okay, and because science says it's false, therefore doesn't have any evidence for it, therefore science must be more true than religion, because he's saying that most of the time religion is found to be false. Where is he getting these ideas from? What is the source for this claim? Again, I didn't take him to account for this. So it's basically it's just BS. All right, it's just BS. He's just making an excuse for atheism without providing any source, right? Okay, anyway, I'll continue again.
Secular. So all of his assertions are clearly incorrect. And I can address most of his criticisms about what he thinks about atheism later. Morality, most philosophers are atheists. 70% are atheists, and 66% believe in objective morality without a God. You don't need a God for that. Theists are just making stuff up. They think you need a God because of their biased opinions. You don't, and which you haven't for the beginning of time. Morality did not come from religion. The moral beliefs of most humans have nothing to do with religion. It has to do with biology. We know this because we can see morality in animals, apes, chimpanzees, most mammals, elephants, dolphins, pig, you name it, we can see morality in it, which none of them have a religion. So clearly we can prove definitively morality has nothing to do with religion, just scientific facts. What else? Morality is abstract. He's made up an invisible sky daddy, and he thinks that grounds morality, and he's calling someone else's morality abstract is kind of ironic, since all he's done is made up his own imaginary friend and called that a basis of objective morality. So theistic objective morality is actually the most abstract of any because it has no basis in philosophy, whereas the secular models of morality do have a basis in philosophy. They're much better models, as we can see in my debate with David Wood. I demonstrated that secularism is a much better grounds of morality than theism, because theism doesn't answer any of the questions that we're asking in order of a model of morality.
So anyway, yeah, notice he committed two logical fallacies here. He made a strawman argument saying that what was it again? Never mind. I'll go to the second point. The second point that I saw that he was making a red herring argument. He was saying that he was saying that since I said that morality is an abstract concept in atheism, it's an irony because the sky daddy, basically he meant God, is also an abstract concept. So for him, atheism is much more true than religion, okay, or the existence of God, because it's measured, but it can be measured by scientific evidence or scientific tools or scientific experimentation. It's much more true according to him. But again, he's not providing any evidence for this. This is basically a red herring. Okay, it's basically it's not only just a red herring. It's also a two-coat fallacy. Just because uh, God cannot be proven through scientific experimentation, it does not mean that morality in atheism is not an abstract concept. In fact, it is. Okay. In fact, it is. Okay. That's the first point. I'm going back to the first point regarding straw man. Okay. He said that if I recall this correctly, I can play it again. He was saying that atheism's moral values are taken from animals and so on, and you can observe morality. I mean, have you who in their right mind would observe morality from animals? Because as I've said earlier in my analysis of the opening, in the animal kingdom, animals fight and kill for survival. So, is he going to say that it's morally right for a poor person to fight and kill for human survival? Like the analogy that I gave earlier on about a poor person who's hungry, who's weak, who's poor. He walks to he walks along the road and he finds a house, a bungalow with opulent wealth, and let's say the owner is strutting in the garden with a gold watch and everything. Does it give that guy, that person, the moral right, the justification to break into the house, kill the man, take his gold watch and rape everyone in the house? Would that be moral for him to do? Because this is what TJump is actually saying, because he's saying that he derives morality from animals. But this is what animals do. Okay, this is what animals do. Okay. And also incest. If he doesn't agree with incest, then he's also going against the morality that he claims is derived from the animal kingdom. Because in the animal kingdom, there's no such thing as incest. I mean, you can basically the parent can copulate with the progeny, and the progeny can copulate with the sister, with the siblings. So there's no issue of incest in the animal kingdom. In the morality of the animal kingdom, there's no such thing as uh, incest. Everyone can. It's a basically it's a free for all. Okay, it's a free for all when it comes to reproduction, because it's a matter of survival in the animal kingdom. Okay, and you can prey on the weak and you can kill the sick. All right. So is it morally acceptable for a man, for a human, to let all COVID-19 patients to die? Because one feature of COVID-19 is that it affects people who are weak. Okay, who are weak antibody wise, because even without the vaccine, you can actually survive COVID-19 if your antibodies are strong enough, and if you don't have any other diseases, any other disease such as heart disease or diabetes or lung diseases, etc. Okay, because it affects the lungs. So and it overpowers your antibodies, right? That is the function of COVID-19. So what TJump is actually saying is that it is morally acceptable for someone to let all COVID-19 patients die, because only those with the strongest antibodies can survive COVID-19. And those who are weak, those who die from COVID-19 have weak antibodies. So it's basically survival of the fittest. So is this something which TJump uh, TJump accepts? You see, so this is something I should have pressed him on, but yeah, I think I did quite badly in that sense, because I could have questioned him on this, but I didn't. You see, that's the problem with me at that time, because unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I was nervous, and I think I didn't present my points properly. All right. So anyway, okay, let me continue again.
Um, in order to assess which model is better scientifically, we can look at the evidence. The evidence more indicates all of the secular views are more rational. In order to assess which view is better politically, we can assess the consequences in society. Consequences in society say that atheist societies are objectively better in every measurable way. So that's really the only two ways I can think of to assess which is better, and atheism wins on both, hands down. I'll conclude there.
You got it. Thank you very much for that opening statement. And we're going to go into open dialogue, folks. So, want to let you know it's going to be a juicy one tomorrow morning, whether or not
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'll end there. I won't go into the Q&A, because basically the Q&A, basically what I've covered now covers the Q&A as well. Okay. But we can do another session like this for specifically to deal with the Q&A session, which by the way, I don't think I did very well in that, because I didn't press him on certain issues, and I think I didn't give my point properly. Okay. There was, but I do want to address one particular point from the Q&A. Okay. Regarding the Q&A, I did mention something about the inimitability of the Quran, the language of the Quran, the ijaz, okay, the Arabic of the Quran. Unfortunately, I didn't explain it well enough. He was saying that if the Quran is beautiful language, then Harry Potter is a better written literature, um, which is stupid, really, because that wasn't the point I was trying to make. It's not about being a better literature. It's about the language, the stylistic arrangement, the prose of the Arabic of the Quran, which exceeds human capabilities. Okay, so it's not a question of whether you can write a better story like Harry Potter or even Shakespeare or whatever. Okay, it's about being confined. Sorry, it's about exceeding grammatical rules, violating grammatical structures and rhetoric, and yet conveying the point very well and in high eloquence. And it's something that no Arab poet at the time could do. And just to relate the historical context between the revelation of the Quran, at the time when before the Quran was revealed, the Arabs were known for their prose and rhetoric. Okay, in the Arabic language. Okay, Arabic was to be a poet is considered to be a learned person and of high eloquence. Okay, this is the historical context, and the Arabic language being that's why when I during the Q&A, I said that I've studied many languages and I find Arabic to be a very beautiful language. But this guy TJump, he just simply jumps the queue and he accuses me of being subjective. But that's not the point. You see, that wasn't why I said this, because I think anyone who studies Arabic or knows how Arabic is portrayed would know that the prose of the Arabic is the Arabic prose, the Arabic language is something that no other language can excel at. Okay, because for example, in Arabic, there's the singular, there's a plural, and there's double plural. Okay, double plural is a feature which does not exist in other languages. It only exists in Arabic. And in Arabic, there's also one word can actually cover a multifaceted uh, range of meanings to it. So it can, for example, if I say kitab, okay, kitab can mean book. It can mean reading. It can mean a collection of pages. It can mean many things, right? So this is just one word. What if it were expression of words? Okay, in a sentence. So again, this is with regards to the beauty of the Quran, and it's not subjective. It's not something subjective. This is actually something very objective. Okay, and this objective criterion is what the Quran alludes to when it says, or when it challenges the pagan Quraysh of the time to create a surah like it, to create a text in the Arabic language with within the confines of Arabic grammar to exceed the Arabic grammatical structure and rhetoric, and to write something which makes sense and is better than the Quran. Okay, because the Quran doesn't confine itself to Arabic grammatical rules. It actually exceeds it. All right, it goes against the like for example, like iltifat. Okay, iltifat is the switching of themes. Okay, like for example, if you're talking about cars, then suddenly it switches to to a story about monkeys. Okay, the way the Quran portrays itself is so smooth and eloquent that you don't realize that the theme has changed until way into the text. Okay, so this is a feature which one of the features which the Quran actually excels at, and which the pagan Quraysh failed to meet. Okay, so I'm going to share with you this book by by this scholar regarding the miraculous nature, the language of the Quran. Okay, the miraculous language of the Quran, evidence of divine origin. Okay, written by Bassam Sai. Okay, it's a very long book. I'm not going to go into it much. I'm just going to talk about the index. Okay, so here everything is here. Okay, so what does the term ijaz mean? The impact of the Quran's newness on the Arabs of the Prophet's day. Okay, the true extent of the miraculousness manifested in the Quran's linguistic newness. Okay, so it goes back to the point that I mentioned just now. The Quran actually presents or represents the Arabic language in such a new and fascinating way that no Arab during the time of the Prophet could meet its grammatical prose, because it goes against the norms, the grammatical norms of the Arabic language, and it does it better. Yeah, okay, that's the whole point, and it's very objective. It's very objective. Okay, it's not something which is, oh, I wrote Harry Potter. I wrote something about a school of mages and witchcraft and wizardry, and I find this story to be more meaningful than the Quran. No, it's not just about the story, it's about the Arabic prose. Okay. So again, this is something I didn't relay very well with during the debate. So I should have shown this book, then yeah, that would actually kind of end the debate for that particular point, right? So actually one could just read through all this, and it's a whole book describing how the Quran has unique languages. Has a unique language and linguistic features that differs from human use of language. Okay, so yeah, I think this is very clear. This is super clear, right? So okay, I'm going to share another uh, tab here. This is a book which I mentioned previously in the debate. With TJump during the Q&A session. Again, he mentioned something about if Islam were not around, then the world would not become the world would still become a better place, or something of the sort along those lines. So I told him there's this book called A World Without Islam, written by Graham E. Fuller. Okay, so the question is, what if Islam never existed? To some, it's a comforting thought. No clash of civilizations, no holy wars, no terrorists. But what if that weren't the case at all? Okay, so the book actually argues that without Islam, the world as we know it today would not exist. Okay, so you need to read this book. Unfortunately, I think I have this book somewhere here. I don't recall. Probably I don't have this book also. I don't remember. Okay, but I should have stressed this point. Again, I didn't stress this point. He was just saying, "Oh, no, 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 it's just some random guy saying this, blah blah blah." But again, he's not addressing the arguments. He's not addressing the arguments at all. Okay, so again, it was my I guess it was a weakness on my part to not address this properly. Yeah, I guess it's a mistake. It's my own failing as a human being to not address it properly. Okay, so I want to share one last thing before I go to the Q&A and wrap this up. Right, wrap this whole show up, because it's getting late in my place. Okay, uh, it's 2:20 a.m. here in Malaysia. Okay, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So there's this video by this brother, Knowledge North. Okay, I wanted to play this because it's very interesting that he uploaded this video today, because it totally uh, it totally comes in line with the theme that I wanted to present, which is about the language of the Quran, the imitability of the Quran. So there's this, but there's this particular point from this video that I want to show and to note, right? It's actually by this Professor Cole. Let me see what. Wait, let me check this. I don't remember his name. Wait, let me see. Okay.
Years ago, and nor will anyone ever come close, because as the Quran is the very word of God, that which is uncreated and infallible cannot be created by man with his many fallibilities.
If I read a couple of bits of early Meccan surahs, to give you some idea of exactly what the Arabic sounds like, and I can point to one or two of the features which I think make it poetic. إذا السماء انفطرت وإذا الكواكب انتثرت وإذا البحار فجرت وإذا القبور بعثرت علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت, which translated is, when the heaven is cleft asunder, when the planets are dispersed, when the seas are poured forth and the sepulchres are overturned, a soul will know what it hath sent before and what it left behind. Now, it's obvious the first four verses here are exactly structurally parallel, and they all end in a verb which ends in at. إذا السماء انفطرت وإذا الكواكب انتثرت وإذا البحار فجرت, and so on. All of the first four verses are exactly the same syntactic structure. That when the heaven is cleft asunder, when the planets are dispersed, when the seas are poured forth. And this creates a kind of tension really in the listener. What actually is coming? These are all subordinate clauses, as linguists say. What is the main point? And we're held in suspense until suddenly, with a tremendous punch, we get the fifth verse, alimat nefsun ma qaddamat wa akharat. A soul shall know what it hath sent before it and what left behind. In other words, on the day of judgment, which is what the first four verses are talking about, what will happen? Every person will know exactly what he's done and exactly what he hasn't done, what he's left undone.
So yes, so you can see here what Professor Cliff Holes is saying is that the language of the Quran was represented in such a way that the prose is so beautiful to the point that it goes against the grammatical rules of Arabic, and yet it presents its points beautifully. So again, this goes again to the ijaz al-Quran, okay, the miraculous nature of the Quran. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push a bit further in this brother's video where he talks about Surah Al-Lahab. Okay, let me go a bit further, I guess. Wait, okay, let me play a bit further and then we can uh listen to what he says. All right.
A great many have tried and continue to try to falsify the Quran by seeking to highlight its non-existent errors and discrepancies, but they have always fallen short. In fact, there is barely a Muslim community in any country today except that it includes within its ranks former high-profile non-Muslims, pastors to politicians and everyone in between, who were once hostile to Islam but were then won over to the religion after having initially set out to uncover supposed Quranic falsehoods, only to discover the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them. And verily, if you ask them, the polytheists, who created the heavens and the earth, they will surely say Allah. Say, tell me then, the things that you invoke besides Allah. If Allah intended some harm for me, could they remove His harm? Or if He intended some mercy for me, could they withhold His mercy? Say, sufficient for me is Allah. In Him do those who trust place their trust. The rhetorical device in this ayah has a name. Tasa'ulatu ilzamiyatu ifhamiyya. Smoldering questions that mandate a response. Ifhamiyya being derived from the same Arabic root for fahm, a burning ember or coal. Because upon examining the syntactical structure, we find not just a question, but an oath, a promise that the polytheists will affirm Allah as being the Lord God of the universe, and in doing so, they bear witness against their polytheism. Ergo, they are being smoldered as if embers on a barbecue. The lam or el character prefixing the conditional conjunction in, if, is called alamul muwattiyatu lil qasam, the lam that facilitates the swearing or witnessing of an oath. However, the oath, the explicit qasam, is itself omitted from the ayah. Otherwise, the verse might have read, Wallahi sayaqulun Allah. By Allah, they will say, they will answer, Allah. Instead, the present plural for the verb to say is prefixed with a lam al-qasam, an el letter which denotes the swearing of the oath, and is suffixed with a noon at-tawkid al-thaqila, the heavy noon or end letter which gives emphasis. Point is, Allah assures His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the pagan Quraysh, if questioned, will affirm Allah's lordship, His rububiyyah, His being the creator, sovereign, and sustainer of the universe, and that the lawazim, the necessary corollary of the pagans' answer, is their admission that Allah alone deserves to be worshipped and invoked, not no idol or creature, not no god of their own manufacture. And herein lies the miracle. All that it would have taken for the Quran to be falsified would have been for one single pagan to deny Allah's existence. Boom, Islam destroyed. Actually, less than even that. They could have still affirmed Allah as God, just not the God who creates and sustains the heavens and the earth. But they couldn't do it. They couldn't even conspire to pretend to deny Allah's lordship. And there are so many such verses, many such passages which implicitly and repeatedly taunted the Quraysh to contradict the Quran and thereby discredit the Prophet and the whole of Project Islam. Speaking of which, at the very start of the Prophet's public mission, in around 613 of the Common Era, he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ascended Mount Safa in the morning and summoned the Quraysh to gather together outside. Then he said to the gathered crowd, "Do you see? If I tell you that an enemy is going to attack you in the morning or in the evening, أَكُنْتُمْ تُصَدِّقُونِ? Will you believe me?" قَالُوا نَعَمْ. They replied, "Yes." The Prophet then said, فَإِنِّي نَذِيرٌ لَكُمْ بَيْنَ يَدَيْ عَذَابٍ شَدِيدٍ. Then I am a plain warner to you of a coming severe punishment. Amongst the gathered crowd was one of the Prophet's paternal uncles, Abu Lahab, who, as well as being a staunch idol worshipper, was a particularly cruel and nasty man, as was his wife, Arwa bint Harb, a nasty woman. Both Abu Lahab and his woman were a match made in hell. Abu Lahab was livid with his nephew's call. He exclaimed, "Alihada jama'tana? You gathered us for this? You called us out for this? Tabban lak! Be you perished." So Allah revealed the surah, Tabbat yad.
All right. So basically, yeah. So if the criterion for creating a surah like it or a verse like the Quran is subjective, as TJump claims that it is, all TJump needed to do is actually hire. I mean, I know he's not an Arabic speaker, so he could have just hired an Arabist or a linguist to create something in Arabic equal to that of the Quranic prose. But the fact is they can't, and they won't, and they can't, they are not able to do it. Okay, so basically what I played just now is a clip from Brother Knowledge North. He gave some examples of how the Arabic prose of the Quran exceeds that of the Arabic style of the day. Okay, so it's totally an objective criterion. Okay, and another feature which another point which again I didn't mention this in the unfortunately I didn't mention this in the debate, is that the story of how the Prophet started his message. Basically, he called the Quraysh, the tribe, to the mountain, and he told them about the message of God. To cut a long story short, so one of the uncles of the Prophet, okay, whom we know today as Abu Lahab, he said, oh Muhammad, why you have called us? Have you called us here for this? So cursed be upon you. So this is what the uncle of the prophet said. So this kufar, this kafir, right? This disbeliever. So Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, God Almighty, came revealed this verse. Okay, so basically is Surah Al-Lahab. Okay, or born Muslims will just say Surah Tabat Yada Abi Lahabi Watab, because we don't recall the name of the surah, the actual name of the surah, which is Al-Masad. Okay, so yeah, I'm alluding to that idiot apostate prophet who tried to recite this surah, and he got the name of the surah correct, but he made it, he tried too hard to make it seem as though he's recalling from memory, because I would say that it's quite dumb for you, or quite idiotic thing to say that you don't recall Surah Al-Lahab or Surah Al-Masad from memory, because this is something you were taught from small. Okay, okay, and I'm going to prove it here by reciting this surah. Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tabbat yada abi lahabiu wa tab, ma agna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab, sayasla naron zata lahab, wa imra'atu hammalatal hatab, fi jidiha hablum mim masad. Okay, by the way, guys, I'm reciting it from memory. Okay, totally from memory. I didn't even see the Arabic text. Okay, I'm not that proficient in at reading the Arabic text that fast. Okay, I'm reciting it from memory. Okay, so the point here is that I'm trying to show is that any born Muslim would be able to recite Surah Al-Lahab or Surah Al-Masad from memory. Okay, and if you are trying too hard to pretend as though you're recalling Surah Al-Masad from memory, you are a liar. Okay, you are a piece of a toot liar. Okay, okay, I don't want to say any bad words here or any four-letter words here, but basically you are just a liar. Okay, because you're trying too hard to pretend as though you're recalling this surah from memory. I just recited this verse from memory. Okay, and it's not just because I'm a Muslim. Okay, I don't uh really recite this verse, this passage during prayers. Okay, but it's something that I have been taught since small, and I've already memorized it by heart. So if I want to recall this verse, this surah, this whole chapter, is very easy for me to do. Okay, okay, and also Surah At-Tin. Okay, like for example Surah At-Tin, I'll recite it here. Okay, Wat-tini wa-zaitun wa turi sinin wa hazal baladil amin laqad khalaqnal insana fi ahsani taqwim summa radadnahu asfala safilin il uh, illal lazina amanu wa amilus solihat falahum ajrun ghairu mamnun fama yukazibuka ba'du biddin alaysallahu bi ahkamil hakimin. Again, I'm reciting from memory. Okay, so if you're saying Surah At-Tin, oh, I can't recall it from memory because I can't remember how it was recited, then I'll just say F you, because you're a liar. Okay, you're a liar because you are taught this from small. If you are really a born Muslim and you practice Islam and you actually go to Quranic classes to learn, you have to memorize it, because without memorizing any of the surahs of the Quran, your prayers are invalid. Okay, so okay, sorry, I'm digressing. Okay, but anyway, the point, going back to the point again, it's very easy to falsify Islam. See, all you have to do, because the surah actually says that cursed be you, Abu Lahab and his wife, they will both be burned in hell. All Abu Lahab needed to do to falsify Islam was to say, oh, I am a Muslim now, and voila, Islam will be destroyed in a second. Because the Quran is saying here, this passage is saying that Abu Lahab will never uh, claim to be a Muslim, will never pretend to be a Muslim, will never even attempt to be a Muslim, or never even pretend to attempt to be a Muslim. Okay, see, so it's like a total negation of whatever Abu Lahab would do. So how would it be possible for the Quran, for this particular surah, to presuppose what Abu Lahab did or will do. Okay, if the Quran is not true, it is basically a direct challenge to Abu Lahab. So the Quran is saying, oh, okay, if you are saying that we are false, that the Quran is false, come, go ahead, please admit, or please try to pretend that you are a Muslim. And this verse, this surah will automatically, the message of this surah will automatically be invalidated, because you're already claiming to be a Muslim, even though you may be sincere or not sincere. That's not the point. The point is that once you claim to be a Muslim, the verse, the surah's message is gone. It's totally wrong. It becomes invalid. But Abu Lahab never did. You see, that's the thing. He never did claim to be a Muslim. He never even pretend to be a Muslim. He never even attempted to pretend to be a Muslim. He became a strong opponent of the Prophet right until the very end of his life. And this proves the Quran. Okay, this proves the surah, the message of this Quran. Okay, so yeah, so I think almost at the end of the show, there's oh wow, I've been talking for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and there's currently 8 visitors, or now it's 7. 7 visitors. Alhamdulillah. Thank you guys for uh watching my stream. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to the comments. I noticed there's a kind of a heated debate here between Christians and Muslims. Sorry, Christians, I'm not going to deal with your crap for today. Okay, I'm not even going to deal with the theology of Christianity, because today the topic is my post-debate analysis with TJump. Okay, and it's about atheism, right? So what the fuck does that have got to do with Christianity and your claims about Christianity? Okay, so please, and please stop talking about Christianity here, because that's not the point of this video. If you want to argue about Christianity, please do it another time, right? So I'm going to just go to the comments and all. These have a backward way of reasoning. I don't think so. I think atheists have a backward way of reasoning. Okay, okay, all right, okay. So yeah, again, you missed my point. That's not the point of why I used the Ferrari uh, example analogies just now. Okay, for those who have missed the stream, my analogy was that if I imagine a Ferrari, okay, if I imagine a Ferrari, and I say that the Ferrari is not real, if I claim that I'm imagining a Ferrari and a Ferrari is not real, would that make my claim true? Okay, the answer is no. It doesn't, because that's a fallacy. Just because I imagine something and I make a claim that it's not true, doesn't mean that that thing is not true. You see, it's a fallacy, it's a logical fallacy, it's a wrong way to make an argumentation. So likewise, just because you claim that God doesn't exist, you think that God is an imaginary friend, just because you don't have the tools to determine whether God is true or false, does not mean that the claim of God's existence, or that God's existence is real, is false. That's the whole point. I'm saying that this argumentation is a fallacy. You cannot use this argumentation to prove whether God exists or not. You see, that's the whole point. That's why I use the example of a Ferrari. It's not whether the Ferrari is real or not. That's inconsequential. The point is that whatever if you claim something is not real, doesn't make it not real. See, that's the whole point. See, and that is a fallacy. Okay, do you understand this point or not? That's the thing. All right. Okay, so let me see. Ben or Hawks, please join our Discord server, or atheist ran for us. Okay, I hope he does. Okay, I really hope he does. All right. Okay. Um, there is a large audience on the show called the Modern Day Debate. Call in or do more debates with atheists. That is what I did last week with TJump. I was on Modern Day Debate. Yes, I'm aware that there is an atheist crowd there, and yeah, I plan to have more debates. It's just that it probably won't be atheist for the time being, right? So because of my not because I don't want to, it's because of my commitments at the moment. Okay, it depends on my commitments, all right? Okay, now let me see now. AP and many ex-Muslims are exposing Islam. Nope, they are not. They are not. They're actually making a fool of themselves. Okay. In fact, some of their arguments are laughably emotional. Okay. It's just because, ooh, I don't want to do the fast, and therefore Islam is false because I don't want to do the fast. That's not argument. That's not argument. That's just based on emotion. And also another argument, another favorite argument from atheists. Ooh, I think because the prophet heard bells in his head, I think it might be because of epilepsy. Therefore, the whole claim of revelation is false because there's bells in his head. Again, emotionalism. Emotionalism. Okay. They cannot prove this. They cannot prove this. They are just arguing for emotion. There's no evidence for this. Absolutely no evidence for this. Again, where's the evidence? That's all stupid. Okay, that's stupid to me, right? Okay, let me see now. La la la. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Monogenes. I'm not going to show your comment because you are really stupid. Because this is not an argument against Christianity. This is an argument against atheism, right? So get the fuck out if you're going to talk about Christianity, all right? This is not the point of my stream here today. Okay. Your brother Alham. Kena debate kat Discord lain kali, bro. Tak adalah, bukannya apa. Mungkin nak debat tu fikir 2-3 kali lah kalau nak debat dengan atheist ni. Sebab atheist ni bangang kan. Okay. I hope you get what I mean. Right. Yeah. Okay. North Korea and China are overwhelmingly religious. Nope, not. I was talking about state ideology. Okay, so North Korea's state ideology is atheism. Okay, China's ideology is communism, but it's basically atheist, right? So both countries today are atheistic states. So now the question is, what has these two countries done for human civilization? Okay, especially with regards to North Korea. I think we can actually we can't actually include China in this because China is a huge country. So and they have a long history. So I'm going to have to exclude China from this because this question isn't really relevant for China. But we can ask this question of North Korea. So what has North Korea as an obviously official atheistic state done for human to contribute to world civilization apart from making nuclear bombs? Okay, apart from making nuclear bombs. And I would say the same for any other country in the past or present which has atheism as their state ideologies. Okay, so this is valid. This is a valid question, and this question it was not answered by TJump. Okay, he didn't answer this question during the opening debate. He definitely did not answer this question during the open discussion or the open Q&A, so to speak. Okay, no answer from him. All he did was straw manning. Okay, and red herrings lah. Red herrings, yeah. Okay, let me see now. Again, this man lying a lot. Yeah, please prove where am I? Where have I lied? Okay, you need to show evidence for that. You can't simply come on my channel and accuse me of lying if you don't have the evidence for it. All right. Okay, so let me see now. What about all the European countries you ignore? Please show me one European country which has atheism as its state ideology. Okay, please answer the question. All right. Okay. And then from secular Quranism, the mandate of heaven was a nod to the Abrahamic God, probably. Yes. It's possible. It's possible. I don't discount that possibility. All right. I don't discount that possibility. Thank you for likewise. Thank you for watching my stream. I hope you're still here. If you're not, I hope that you replay this video and replay this stream later and you will see me thanking you. All right. I hope you have my deepest thanks for even being here. All right, and listening to me talking in front of the screen. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Likewise to you. All right. Let me see now. Islam was present with the Nazis too. What does this have to do with any of my arguments against atheism? You're not answering my question. you're not answering any of my questions regarding atheism. This is not an answer to anything. This is just a brain fart. Okay, a meaningless brain fart to me, because my arguments are against atheism. Why are you suddenly talking about Nazis? I didn't bring up the issue of Nazis here. I'm talking about atheism. Okay, why Nazis are coming into the picture, right? Right. Yeah, these are all Christian countries, you little asshole, right? Please give me an example of a country or countries in Europe which have atheism as its state ideology. Okay, I hope the question is clear, right? It must have atheism stated in its constitution as its state ideology. Okay, in Europe today, can you please show me an example of that? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me see now. Oh, one God, 3%. Nah, I'm not going to deal with Christianity. Sorry, yeah. Okay. Wow, there's quite a lot of comments here. But I think most of the comments here are going back and forth about uh purely fallacy. Yep. Most of the arguments that atheists have brought to me, in fact, even in the opening statement by TJump, and even in the Q&A session with him, most of the things that he brought up were fallacies, logical fallacies. Okay, which unfortunately I didn't press him on because I was a ball of nerves. All right. Okay. I hope he's watching this stream. Then he knows. Then he will know this. Uh, Sorry. When last did you find an atheist arguing that he knows God cannot exist, or that he can disprove God? The answer is no. I have not met any atheist who can claim that. The closest I found so far is probably TJump, because he says that since God is not measurable by scientific evidence or scientific experiments or scientific tools, and that science is much more truer than religion, therefore he concludes that God doesn't exist because of this. But that's a fallacy. It's a fallacy. Just because you cannot perceive God through your normal scientific reasoning, or through current scientific tools and experimentation, it doesn't mean God doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't mean God doesn't exist. Okay, like the example that I gave earlier on, can you use the laws of physics to judge, or as a criterion for historical facts? You can't. You can't. The answer is you can't, because the laws of physics is a totally different discipline from that of history. Okay. So likewise, you can't use historical tools or historical methodologies as a criterion to judge the laws of physics. How is it possible? Okay. So this is what TJump did, okay, in the opening statement, because he's basically using science to try and disprove God. And God is a totally metaphysical thing. It's not supposed to be comprehended scientifically, because as far as I'm concerned, if God can be seen through scientific means or scientific experimentation, then that thing or whatever it is that is measured by scientific evidences is not God, because God is supposed to be beyond human reasoning and comprehension. It's that simple. Okay, God being the most all-powerful, all creation, all encompassing, all majestic being, he should be beyond the comprehension of a human being. I'll give you an example. All right. Okay. Let's say I created a car. I mean, humans create cars, right? Can the car see me? I mean, as in, can it comprehend who I am? I mean, I created the car. Does that mean that does that mean that I don't exist according to the car? Okay, if the car has a conscience, the car cannot see me, but the car is not equipped. The car is not equipped to see me, even though I created the car. And then the car says I do not exist. Does that mean I don't exist and I didn't create the car? You see, that's the point. Because the car cannot perceive its creator, because the car doesn't have the tools or the means to see or comprehend the creator. So who are you to say that God doesn't exist simply because you cannot comprehend or understand or measure God by your current scientific tools. Okay, it is a fallacy to claim that you can measure that just because you cannot measure God or you cannot determine whether God exists through experimentation or whatever it is. It is a fallacy to say that just because this happens, therefore God doesn't exist. Okay, this is kind of a fast one being put. All right, this is like pulling wool over your eyes. All right. Okay, so yeah, I hope I answered that question, right? Let me see now. Blah blah blah. In English, we have more precision via speech, as we can refer to. No, no, that's BS. Okay, sorry. I'm talking about the Arabic language. English is not perfect. Okay, if you know the history of English, then you will know that English came about through a long evolution. Okay, of languages from Anglo-Saxon, Viking, Germanic, Norse, etc., and then it became the English language that we know today. Okay, but in the original English language wasn't like this. Okay, isn't the speech that we speak as we know English today. This is modern English. But what about old English, the Anglo-Saxon language? Can you understand it? You can't, because it's totally different. I tried. Believe me, I tried. Okay. It's called old. I mean, some people know it as old English, but to me, it's a totally different language. It's Anglo-Saxon. Don't be fooled by the name old English, because it doesn't sound like the English that we know today. All right. So basically, what I'm saying is that the English of today is not the same as the English of the old. It evolved. And even so, if you look at the old English, it's actually quite crude, okay, compared to Arabic. Arabic achieved its full height during the time of the Prophet, and that was like 1,400 years ago, right? So English, to reach the level of English, the English language, to reach its level as it is today, uh, took longer than that. Okay, in fact, during the time of the Prophet, English didn't exist. The English that we know today, the modern English language as we know, even the classical English during the time of Shakespeare, didn't exist. And yet, during that particular time period, Arabic has already achieved a level of prose and mastery. So I'm sorry, English is not really a beautiful language. English is actually a lousy language when it comes to precision and rhetoric. Okay, right? So yeah, I know it sounds ironic, since sounds contradictory too, since I'm actually speaking in English, but that's the reality. All right, that's the reality. Nobody is going to say that English is a beautiful language, because it's not. It's not meant to be a beautiful language. It's meant to be a language of communication. It's not meant to be a language of prose and mastery and whatever it is that the Quran claims to be. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. And I've already, if you can go to my, can skip to the previous section where I showed the book by Dr. Bassam Saeh, where he talks about the miraculous linguistic features of the Quran. Okay, the Arabic of the Quran. Okay, so so anyway, okay, let me go back here. Okay, let this book, brother, Return of the God Hypothesis. Yeah, inshallah, I will. But the thing is, I don't intend to really talk about or to debate atheists that much. Okay, so my point is to actually use the debate as content for my new channel, which I mentioned earlier on, as a launching pad of sorts to start dealing with idiots like Apostate Prophet, Infidel Noodle, Abdullah Samir, Haris Shaitan, and many of them, right? Infidel Aladdin, these people, okay. Zara K, the cheesecake, yeah, these people, okay. So I don't really need to study atheism much, or dive in deep into atheism to deal with their arguments, because frankly speaking, these atheist ex-Muslims are very superficial. They are very shallow in their philosophy. Basically, they are just saying, "Oh, I don't want to fast, so Islam teaches me to fast. Therefore, Islam is false." Okay, or I don't like to pray. Islam teaches me to pray. Therefore, Islam is false. Yeah, this is basically the argumentation. That's basically their whole point for rejecting Islam. Okay, okay, is that stupid, right? Is that stupid? But that's how their argument is, right? Okay. Anyway, let's go down. No, 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 no. Okay. If the Bible is not from God and the Quran is the word of God, as most Muslims state, then I feel that is an insult to Allah's greatness because of the popularity of the Bible. Why do you assume that the Bible is more popular than the Quran just because it's being so widely? Because I would say the most memorized and the most recited book in the world today is not the Bible, it's the Quran. Okay, I can recite passages from the Quran. Okay, do you want me to give you examples of that? Okay, I'm going to recite three surahs from the Quran. Okay, the first surah, Surah An-Nas. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udzu birabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas. Keep in mind, I'm shutting my eyes. Ilahin nas, min syarri waswasil khannas, allazi waswisu fi sudurin nas, minal jinnati wan nas. First surah. Okay, now second surah. Please keep in mind that I'm closing my eyes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus somad. Lam yalid walam yulad walam yakullahu kufuwan ahad. Okay, second surah. Now third surah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Iza jaa nasrullahi wal fath wa ra'aita an-nasa yadkhuluna fi dinillahi afwaja fasabbih bihamdi rabbika wastaghfir innahu kana tawwaba. Now fourth surah. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil alam yaj'al kaidahum fi taghlil wa arsala alaihim tayran ababil tarmihim bihijaratin min sijil faja'alahum ka'asfin ma'kul. Now fifth surah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna a'tainakal kausar fasalli li rabbika wanhar inna syani'aka huwal abtar. Okay. You want me to read how many surahs do you want me to read? Okay. Okay, I'm going to read six surah, the sixth surah just for the fun of it. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil alam yaj'al kaidahum fi tadlil wa arsala alaihim tayran ababil tarmihim bi jaratin min sijil faja'alahum ka'asfin ma'kul. Okay. So yeah, and I do memorize several other surahs of the Quran. So basically I refute your claim that that uh uh that the Bible is more popular than the Quran. In fact, I would dare say the most popular book, the most popularly memorized book and the most recited book in the world today is not the Bible, it's the Quran. Okay. And I just proven it by reciting 5 or 6 surahs. Okay. A surah is about 5 to 6 lines, all right? Some people can actually memorize up to a few hundred lines or 200 lines, but I can't. Okay. Due to my own human limitations. But I was taught to recite the Quran since small, and yeah. So how does your argument how does this make your argument valid? Because you're wrong. Okay. The Quran is much more superior than the Bible because it is the most memorized and most recited book in the world. Okay. It's not about popularity. It's about which book is more memorized, more recited, and more taken to the heart. Okay. And I dare say that the Quran beats the Bible in every aspect of this. Okay. So I think I refuted your point as well. Okay. So anyway, let me see now. Okay, there's quite a lot of comments here. The three Abrahamic death cults. Oh, okay, that's interesting. You just got the Abrahamic religions death cults, huh? Whose underlying message is might is right, obey or die. All three fight among each other and within their own denominations. I think you are the last person on earth who should be saying this, because atheists don't actually have a beautiful record when it comes to violence. Okay, please take a look at North Korea. Please take a look at the Soviet Union. Please take a look at Cuba. Please take a look at yeah, there's so many regimes which have atheism as the state ideology and have done much worse crimes than the Abrahamic religions, right? So I don't think atheism's record is any cleaner than that of religions of the world. And in fact, if you look at Islamic history, um, there were actually less violence in the world when Islam, controlled most of the world. Okay, the only reason why today we see a lot of wars is because of the rise of secularism and atheism. Okay, so I will blame atheism for this, not religions. Okay, not religions. I don't believe that religions had anything to do with it. Right? You can't defend your faith. I think I just did. Right. Sorry to disappoint you, but I think I just did. Right. Mm. Okay. MENJ TJump wipe the floor with you and over. I would say that right now the tables have been turned and now I'm wiping the floor with him. But then again, for you it's about winning and losing. But for me, it's not about winning and losing. So it doesn't matter who wiped whom. Okay. The point is that I make my point and I managed to send my message across. That for me matters more than being concerned about who wins or loses. Because for me, doesn't matter who wins or loses because I'm not going to change my mind. He's not going to change his mind either. So, so how does that prove anything? Whether he wins or I lose, who cares? Who cares, right? Okay. Let me see now. Wow, there's quite a lot of comments here. MENJ thinks Allah is almighty but somehow doesn't know about subjectivity. Allah doesn't know everyone. I don't understand what this point is about. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. What are you trying to argue? I don't get it. I don't understand. Is it because my English is bad or is your English bad? I don't know. I don't understand. uh if I learn Arabic, I become Allah. Huh? Uh, did I make this argument that if you learn Arabic, you become God? I didn't. I don't recall making this argument. What are you trying to say here? I really don't understand. I really don't understand what you're trying to say. Are you trying to be stupid or trying to be funny? I don't know. You sound stupid to me. All right. Okay. All right. Let me see now. TJump destroyed the Quran. I didn't think he did because he didn't get the point. He was actually straw manning most of the arguments. In fact, he didn't get why I said that the Quran is a beautiful prose and its imitability is unparalleled. He couldn't get the point. He was saying, "Oh, it's subjective, subjective, subjective," but it's not. It's actually very objective. There are books written about it. So how could it be a subjective concept if there are books about it? Okay, there's actually technical books detailing on how the Quran uses iltifat or rhetoric or oaths, the manner of oaths, and how the balagah, how the Quran changes themes, the thematic nature of the Quran. These are all recorded and discussed and debated among scholars of the language of Arabic. Okay, so how could this be a subjective thing if you are debating about something which you think is subjective? You don't debate about subjective things, right? You debate about things which are objective in nature, right? If it's subjective, there's no point debating about it. Okay. Yeah, man. It's like I do not believe in ghosts. Does it mean ghosts does not exist? Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yes, I think you got it, brother. Because this idiot Tijam, he's saying that God is imaginary because I cannot conceive him. So just because he cannot conceive God, does it mean that God doesn't exist? It's not an argument. It's a fallacy. Okay, this is what he tried to do, and unfortunately, I did not take him to account for it. So that was my failing. Okay. Okay, sorry guys. I think my throat is almost dry. Oh my god, it's already 2 hours and 43 minutes. Okay, I'm going to have to end the stream soon, guys. All right, so I'm going to scroll down. It's 3 a.m. and tomorrow I have work. All right, I can't be staying up this late because I have responsibilities tomorrow. Okay. let me see now. I'm going to skip most. I'm sorry, guys. I thank you very much for your comments, but I'm going to have to skip most of it because, yeah, I'm actually going to skip most of this. There's all this Christian stuff, Bible stuff. Go to bed MENJ before the jinns come and tickle you in bed. Yeah, I know you probably don't believe in jinns also, right? But can you prove that jinns don't exist? You see, how do you explain supernatural incidences? Because I know in American culture you have Portuguese, you have things that go bump in the night. How are you going to explain that? You can't explain this through scientific evidence. Okay. Oh my god, my throat is getting sore as it is. Okay. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. So basically, in conclusion, I don't think I did badly in the debate. At the same time, I don't think I did very well either, due to my own feelings, okay, and due to my I would say lack of maybe lack of communication skills, I would say, with when dealing with atheists, because I've been dealing with Christians for a long while now. So the way you approach a Christian would be drastically different from that you approach an atheist. So I was still kind of trying to shift my mentality from, because I know I was actually suffering from some sort of cognitive dissonance, because I know that I was debating an atheist while I was struggling, I was actually struggling trying to align my worldview or align my perspective from from a Christian's perspective to an atheistic one. So when I how I approach debates is this. Usually I will take the persona of the opponent. Let's say, for example, the person is a Christian. Okay. So I will delve into the mind of a Christian. I will take the position. I would think, how would a Christian argue a certain point or a certain belief or a certain example. So from that persona, I will counter that particular worldview or particular line of thought. Okay. But in the case of this debate with TJump, I was struggling to come into the persona of an atheist. So and some of the arguments that he made were actually very poor and not well made, right? It's just that I didn't, and then maybe I gave him too much respect, because I thought that he would go into more philosophical or much more ideological arguments in favor of atheism. But in the end, he did not do this. He simply says, "Oh, God is an imaginary friend in my mind, therefore God doesn't exist." That's basically his argument. Okay, basically he committed a lot of logical fallacies left and right. Okay, he didn't prove that God doesn't exist. Okay, he couldn't prove this. Okay, all he could do is just deny, 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 deny. Okay, at the same time, he deny. He just brushes aside my points. He definitely didn't deal with the issue of justice, because I raised a very good point, right? If Pol Pot, Hitler, and Stalin died, and there's no afterlife, there's no God, no such thing as God, then where is the justice in that? Okay, how would atheism deal with someone who has just died? Okay, and also another point I raised, which Tijam never did answer, was the purpose of life. He he totally didn't answer this point. He skipped this point. Okay, he totally skipped this point. Okay, and unfortunately, because of I don't know, I was nervous. I was I was nervous. Basically, I readily admit this. I was nervous. I was nervous. I gave him too much respect. Um, my arguments were not refined properly. The points were good. The presentation was terrible. Okay, the delivery was terrible. I could have done better. I could have done better in saying the same thing, but presented in a much more uh easier way to understand. Okay, and also I made the mistake of reading the comments on the modern day debate platform during the debate, the course of the debate. So those idiots in that particular section were of course for TJump, because basically James had an atheistic crowd. So I guess their taunting and their ad hominem and their ridiculous comments got to me psychologically, even though I try not to read too much of it, but it got to me psychologically, because they were commenting on my accent, they were commenting on how my arguments were weak, all these things, but the thing is, they never commented on TJump's arguments, because to me, I mean, from this analysis now, I think if you watch it again, you will find that TJump's arguments were weak, okay, were without basis, were ad hominems, and no, not ad hominems, were mostly straw men, okay, and I would say even sometimes to the point of red herrings, okay. He didn't answer any of my points. Okay, and he misrepresented my arguments many times, okay. So in the end, I wouldn't say it's a win or a loss. I would just say that I will do better next time, inshallah. Okay. Yeah, and also on that note, I did get some comments after the debate where some idiots, okay, unfortunately, some idiots, some bastards, some pieces of shit who claim to be Muslims, they actually left me the message. Okay, they actually said this along the lines of if you want to debate, please do not debate at all. That's basically what they are trying to imply. So those motherfuckers, I'm going to give you this. Okay, I'm going to give you the middle finger. Okay, because you're not going to stop me from debating. Okay, even though you may not agree with my position, you may think my arguments are weak or whatsoever. But after analysis of this debate, I realized that my arguments weren't weak. It's just a way of representing my arguments. Okay, presenting my arguments properly, and how I need to deliver them in a way where the opponent couldn't answer. Okay, because to me, you are an idiot, you are a coward, because all you can do is to hurl insults at me. Okay, for me being brave enough to stand up to the opponent. Okay, to stand up to the opponent and to actually debate the opponent, even though with all my weaknesses and with all my mistakes and so on. Okay, I know I'm aware that I have my weaknesses. Okay, in spite of these weaknesses, okay, I still dare to face TJump. But you, the coward who told me not to debate again, you don't even dare to debate anyone. Okay, you're not even live on any platform. Okay, or you don't even dare to show yourself to the world like what I am doing now. You don't even have your bloody channel, you motherfucker. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to swear here, and for those of you who know who I am, you will know that I love swearing. Okay, this is just me. Okay, this is just me being me. Okay, so you little bastards, you little pieces of shit, you can go fuck yourselves and dump your head into the toilet bowl, right? So that's basically what I'm trying to say here. Okay, and I guess with that, end this show, inshallah. Thank you very much for watching my analysis, this post debate analysis. Of course, I inshallah hope to do better next time. That being said, I wouldn't be debating any atheists for the time being, because my focus has always been on Judeo-Christianity, and I intend to keep it that way until the time comes when the time is right. I will come out of the shadows again and debate any atheists. Yeah. It's not that because I'm afraid of atheists or anything of the sort. Please don't get me wrong. It's just that I want to focus on Christianity. That is my core focus. That has always been my core focus. Okay. All right. So I guess that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching this video. As usual, if you like my channel, please do not forget to give a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. Please join my membership if you think that I have brought beneficial content. Okay. I guess after this video, I'll be going back to the original program of addressing Christian claims again. No more atheism. This will be the one and only video on the Muslim apologist about atheism. Okay. So inshallah, I'll see you again in a future live stream or in a future video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.